All right, everybody, welcome to the Average Overlanders podcast. I'm Jared, and this guy somewhere is,
I'm Ben,
he's Ben.
right here.
And joining us tonight, we have Leeno with Ibis Offroad, right? Did I get it right?
Thank you. Great to be here, man. You got it right.
All right.
Welcome.
So,
Thank you. Thank you. It's great to be here, guys.
yeah, and so we're doing a phone-in one because you're on the opposite side of the country here from us. You know, you're a few hours
Quite
ahead of us.
literally, yep, the other corner of the country. I think it's. Let me look at the clock. It's 9:25 here. So
All right, all right. We
couple hours
appreciate
apart.
you, staying up late for us.
Yeah, man. No, I mean, I've listened to a couple of the episodes. I've seen the stuff you guys post online, and I figured it would be fun to just have a nice fireside chat with you guys,
Nice, nice.
or I guess riverside chat.
Oh, there you go. Yeah,
I got the fire.
you got a fire in the background, right?
Oh, there you go. You got a little, nice. Okay.
Yeah,
It's
authentic.
visual add-on.
Yeah,
Visual
yeah.
add-on.
Yeah. I shouldn't be covering it up, but
Yeah. Everybody wants to
it's
see the
keeping you
mug.
yeah, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're in Florida. What part of Florida?
Yeah, I'm in Miami. You've probably heard of
All
it.
right. Yeah, I've been there once or twice. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so we have a very, very big off-road crowd, ironically enough, even though there's probably not a lot of public perception that off-roading is big here.
Yeah.
Because we do have a lot of people from South America. I mean, I'm from South America. I was born in Venezuela, and I
Oh,
was
right.
raised here. Uh-huh. And Venezuela, Colombia, Brazil, a lot of these countries are really into the off-road scene
Yeah.
over there. So people end up here, they move here. We always joke that this is kind of like the landing place for a lot of people from South America. And so they bring that culture with them. And I'm part of that, man. Like my dad was recreational off-roader over there. My uncle was as well. They got it from my grandfather who, was an avid hunter who to get out to the trails you have to go and drive through anything that requires four-wheel drive. And over the generations, excuse me, it became more of a recreational thing, and I just kept doing it here.
Nice, nice. Yeah. Carry it on,
Yeah.
It's kind of addictive,
Yeah,
I
it's
mean.
look, it's such a it's there's much worse ways to spend your time and money,
Right.
you know? And you get to be outside, you get to disconnect. You get to disconnect from the phone and the iPad and all that, and you also get to connect with the people that are around you and connect with yourself. You get to really just kind of be in the moment. That's what I like about it, is that
Yeah.
you're there and there's really whatever's immediately in front of you is what's concerning you.
Yeah. Yeah.
These damn rocks are in the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How's it-
And then, here, go ahead.
No, I was just curious, like how, like what because obviously Miami is more known for beaches and the nightlife, obviously, and stuff like
Exotic
that.
cars.
Yeah, you don't really think
Right.
of like, I mean, maybe the Everglades or something like that, but I'm not too familiar with wheeling down there. So I was kinda
Fan
curious.
boats.
Yeah, fan boats. That'd be rad. Actually, I would love to be on a
Yeah,
fan boat.
those airboats are pretty cool, man.
Have you
I
ridden
have
on one of those?
Yeah, actually. So that's actually a big part of what's called the Gladesman culture, the man of the Glades, of the Everglades.
Okay, okay.
There's actually a festival coming up that's the Florida Gladesman Association. I don't remember the acronym, but they do this big fundraiser for the club, and a lot of these guys are, people that have been here in South Florida for generations. And the airboats are a big part of their culture. It's because there really is no other way to travel the swamp effectively.
Yeah, there's no
And
roads.
no. And I have a buddy actually who had one with he had a box engine out of a Porsche, and he put that on
No
on an
way.
airboat. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, so that thing, yeah, it's pretty fast.
That'd be crazy, dude.
Yeah. No, there's some fast boats out there, and well, a lot of these guys are people who their day job is working with their hands, either fabrication or welding or some sort of
Hmm.
metalworking. So when they go home, they have all that skill, and sometimes they have the tools at home. They build some pretty crazy fast boats.
Yeah, it's tinkering. It's kind of like
Um,
what everybody does with their
it's
trucks
the same
too.
thing.
Same thing. It's just another money pit.
Exactly. It's just another way to spend your time
Yeah.
and money in the garage. But so the way that you can look at off-roading here in South Florida is that you have essentially everything between the east and west coast of South Florida. So south of Lake Okeechobee, it's kind of a big lake that divides Central Florida from South Florida.
Oh, okay.
And so under that, you have quite a few what we call state forests and Wildlife Management Area. So we don't have the Bureau of Land Management over here. We have a different organization called the Florida, the Fish and Wildlife Conservation,
Oh,
right?
okay.
FWC, and they're essentially the same thing. You know, the Smokey the Bear, right? Like Yogi Bear cops,
Yeah,
essentially.
yeah.
Exactly. So they manage, alongside with the state forest people, they manage quite a few properties. I think if I were to go off the top of my head, something like 6 or 7 different properties in South Florida.
All right.
And, you know, a lot of it is going to be what you would expect from the Everglades, which is a lot of like kind of like that, like black soil mixed with sugar sand,
Oh,
right?
okay.
Really, really
Yeah.
sticky kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Uh-huh. You get some of that. That's most of that. And then, but we also, just like the rest of Florida, we have what's called pine scrub forest, which is more like really, really thin sugar sand. And we also get the red clay that kind of goes all the way up to Georgia and
Georgia and
Alabama.
everything. Yeah, yeah.
Huh? So there's different trails have different things. Like there's one trail out on the West Coast that has that kind of orange clay. In one section is a pretty unique thing to South Florida because it's basically the most southern area where you'll see that. And then, you know, and it's very interesting here because you'll go from that immediately into a swamp, and then you'll go into what we call a scrub forest, which is sugar sand and really skinny tall trees. So you'll go from a swamp to that
Yeah.
to just within the same
Pretty
trail.
diverse
So it is
terrain.
very
Yeah,
unique.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And so we do a lot of day trips to any of the South Florida properties. So if it's within a couple of hours, you know, 2 hours away, we'll do a day trip out and back.
Hmm.
Central Florida has some really fun, relative to the southeast anyway, wheeling. You know, there's Ocala National Forest, which is, I think, if I'm not mistaken, one of the oldest. I think it might be the first national forest in the country, actually. Weirdly enough,
Really?
Hmm.
What was it
uh,
called?
Ocala,
Ocala.
Ocala.
Hmm. Interesting. I
And
wonder.
it's huge, man. It's you know, you don't have to zoom in that much on Google Maps for
To
it to kind
find
of
it.
start pointing it out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's pretty big. And that's another area where you'll the terrain will change just, you know, over the course of a couple of miles. You'll go from something that's completely, you know, covered with tree cover and sugar sand, and then you'll cross essentially a part, and it'll just turn into a swamp, right? And it'll be kind of water floating around with the vegetation on top. So it's a very unique uh, terrain variety, like you were saying.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of other trails, you know, Central Florida and then Northwest Florida towards the Panhandle that are, I would say, fun. Right? I guess it depends on what you're driving.
Yeah, right.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. I always try to tell people, man, because we get a lot of people that are new, is start with whatever your car came with, you know, maybe a little bit bigger,
Right.
put some all-terrains or some good treads on it. Figure out what you can actually do with it, then go and you know, lift it and put bigger tires on it, right?
Yeah, because like out here, like everybody's like mostly like we have a lot of hills. I'm assuming Florida's pretty flat, but
Yeah,
we don't have like we're not big on like mudding and stuff like that. We're not worried
right.
about getting stuck in that sense as much. I mean, but out there
Mhm.
it could be a real concern. Like you're saying, you get one of those swamps, man, you're not going anywhere
Yeah, and there's
unless you're prepared.
definitely
Yeah.
a right. And so actually, I was just talking to a guy who was joining the club recently, and I was telling him, he was asking me about what recovery gear he should buy. He's like, should I buy Max Track? Should I buy
Smart. Yeah.
recovery ropes and all this? And I was like, yeah, you should. That only stuff only works if you have another car,
Yeah.
Right. You gotta be able to
you
self
know?
recover. Yeah.
Uh-huh. So here it's just, and like here in South Florida, uh, can you use a high lift jack? You can, but uh,
He'll just sink
sometimes
Yeah, you
down
need
in,
a big
right?
footprint below it. Yeah.
exactly. You need either like the foot that they sell, or some sort of two inch boards under it, or something to create a smaller, a bigger contact patch.
Hmm.
And I'm actually more partial to I don't know if you guys have ever seen it. It's called the ARB Bush Ranger.
No, what's
Hmm.
that?
It's basically a big inflatable boob. It's just like a big rubber
Oh,
cylinder.
yeah, yeah,
You ever seen
yeah.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Arab makes one of those? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
They
Yeah, I've seen
they
them
they
before where
make
they can,
the
yeah. Is it the one you hook up to
yeah.
your exhaust or to an air
Yep,
compressor?
yep, it's an
Okay.
ex you can do both. You can do both. Yeah, you can do
Nice,
either
nice.
one. And for South Florida, especially like where you can get like, framed out on the mud,
Mm.
you're not gonna dig under with a shovel to get a high lift under. You're not doing that.
No. Yeah, we
So,
have like,
you
we
need
carry like
about
floor jacks and shit in our
I
truck.
have a
And
Pro
yeah,
Eagle.
exactly.
that's never gonna, not in
Exactly.
the mud. That's gonna suck.
No. No, and then you're gonna then good luck taking it out once you lift the truck, right? You're gonna have to tie a tow strap around it.
Right, you need
So the
recovery just
exhaust
for
jack,
that.
exactly. You need a recovery for the recovery gear. And that one's really fun because what you do with it is because it is taller than it is wide. One of the tricks that I teach sometimes when I'm teaching people how to do recovery is you stick it under the truck, like under the rear axle, let's say, and you lift it just enough to get the tires just barely above the rut, right?
Mhm.
What you can do is you can literally just push the truck over, and
Oh,
then
it'll
the
slide
truck
on
will
that bag.
basically, yep, the bag will roll over and it'll come out of the rut, and you do it in the front, and you took the truck out of the
Oh,
rut.
that's smart.
Yeah, so
Shit.
yeah, yeah. I mean, mind you, you could also flip your truck if you do that.
That
You
may
do
get a
that
little
too
too
much,
high, but
right?
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
But and it's I've always found it very interesting, like with you guys out there on the West Coast, how different it is, right? And like how no matter where you are, you eventually figure out what works and what doesn't.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have different
Yeah.
We've gone through many iterations of our gear.
Oh yeah, it's always
Oh yeah.
changing. But like it depends on the environment you're going to. Like if we're going out to the desert and it's
Yep.
just all sand, you don't have a tree to,
Mm.
wrap a winch around,
Yep.
So you got to same
Yeah.
idea, you got to kind of get in that mindset like okay, I got to have different recovery gear for this trip, in case I got to self-recover or something.
So out there in the desert
Hmm.
on your end, how's the sand? Is it like really really thin, like very very like almost powder sugar sand?
It's more like beachy sand. Some areas like if you get out to the dunes, it's a little bit finer. But it's
Okay,
yeah,
so it's pretty coarse.
The dunes out in Glamis and stuff like that, where they're running the sand rails and stuff. That's typically that really fine powder. You go out to
Mm.
Anza Borrego, like Fish Creek Trail, we always talk about. That's more of a coarse
Okay.
sand.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
we don't
yeah,
really get like too many like the really fine silt beds and stuff like that where you'll
Right.
just eat your truck alive, like down in Mexico and stuff. But
Ye-
yeah.
that stuff gets in everything, man.
Oh, good luck
That
because
stuff.
your air
Yep.
filter is not happy.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and then one actually another guy that called me today to ask me to how to set up his truck. He was asking me about like control arms and all that. And I told him, man, here in South Florida, don't get heim joints, don't get anything that has like an exposed bearing,
Oh, really?
because you're gonna have to, yeah, because
Just builds up.
especially because yeah, because people grease them, right? Because
Hmm.
it's so they don't sound and they stay lubricated. That grease is a dirt magnet, so
Yeah.
the really fine sand just sticks to it, and that's just gonna abrade. It's a sandpaper inside of the control arm, just going in there. So here it's everything is greasable joints, like greasable U joints, greasable tie rod ends, all that stuff, because you deal so much with water. And then boots on everything. Like don't run. I mean, you can run Heims, it's just they're gonna squeak like a
Yeah.
mother
Have a way to
as soon
cover
as you.
them,
yeah. Well,
somehow
that's why a lot
protect
of
them.
the
Huh?
upper control arms they have like the option for the uniball or the
Oh,
Heim
yeah.
joint
Yeah,
or
yeah.
the Delta joint, and the Delta joint has that protective layer.
That's nice.
Yeah, yeah, and it's something that because almost all the sand that we deal with as at least on off-road trails is very very powdery, very very thin, and like we were saying, man, that thing gets in everything. Like no matter how much you vacuum your car, it's not coming out.
No, you're never getting it all out. It's
No,
like dog
no,
hair.
no, no. Yeah.
So if
Yep.
somebody,
Yep.
so if somebody was like, interested in what you guys do, and they're like, "Hey, I need an off-road vehicle." What's something you would recommend, just straight
Or
out of
like
the
out
box?
there,
Like,
like
what would for yeah,
like skinny
Florida.
tires versus because you're more. I think those are better for mud and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the trails can be done with just about a 32, 33-inch tire. Obviously, you're going to be able to do more for less with a bigger tire. And I mean, man, like it's crazy now, right? Like we're getting cars that are coming from the factory with 35-inch, 37-inch tires, right?
Right.
What a time to be alive.
Yeah, they're
I
figuring it out.
remember, I remember as a high school kid on the forums, you guys remember those, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
man. Where everybody
Right.
on the
shit talked on
forums,
you. Yeah.
yeah,
You ask a
exactly.
question
Everybody would
like,
say,
"Idiot, look at like 5
use
other
the
posts
search
about
bar.
this." Use search bar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that, man. I remember like from my first. I guess we can get into this. My first 4x4 was a 2004, 2003 Nissan Xterra,
Oh,
Nice.
nice.
and yeah,
Shout
and
out
it's a fun
Sergio.
truck.
Yeah.
Oh, he's got one.
Yeah, he's a Nissan guy.
You
He
got some
just-
Nissan,
Yeah.
Nissan friends. Yeah, I
They're
had a
good,
Nissan.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're good. The thing is that truck, the biggest limitation was it was a 4-speed auto,
Okay.
so
Lacking in
third and
power.
fourth were long, man. You couldn't the truck would have to drop into second to accelerate at any point on the highway.
Yep.
Yeah.
So with I remember back then with the forums, man, you had to chop the crap out of your car just to get 35s on it.
Oh yeah.
Oh
Now
yeah, yeah.
now pretty much any, I mean, the two main ones, the Broncos and the Wranglers, you can put them on from the factory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like when I was first started off-roading, that long travel wasn't like not everybody had long travel and bypass shocks. Like those weren't even a thing.
No,
It
that
was like
was
you put like some
magazine
Philistines or some
stuff. Yeah,
Ranchos.
Yeah, that's SEMA
yeah,
and Baja.
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. Like the long travel stuff was stuff that you would see on the magazines. It's like, oh,
yeah.
look how cool this
Oh,
is,
yeah, the trophy trucks. And
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, no, that's not. It is. I mean, look, I'm happy because it lowers the bar,
Yeah.
so to speak, for people to get into the hobby,
Yeah.
and it makes it easier. But then also, then you start to getting into like the whole like industrial complex, right, where people see that there's money in it as an industry,
Oh yeah.
and then they just promote you to consume. What
Hmm.
is it? Doesn't matter. Just buy stuff.
You need it.
Just buy. You
This is
need it
America,
because it's
baby.
cool.
That's what we do.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
Freedom ain't free, brother.
Like, yep, no, you gotta, someone's gotta pay. Yeah, someone's gotta buy stuff, and that's, one of the things that happens a lot with the people that come to the club when they're new is they have a truck that's built out.
Hmm.
They'll have all kinds of accessories hanging off the side of the car, and they'll have a winch, and they'll have all the recovery gear, and they'll have the nice suspension, the nice wheels, the nice tires.
Cappuccino machine.
And one of the things I do,
Yeah.
Air
exactly,
fryer.
like roll out tray,
All the
exactly, roll out tray with all that
Yeah.
stuff,
All the big
all the
screens and
goodies.
shit and navigation and yeah.
Yeah. And at check-in, one of the things that we do is we do tech inspection and we check recovery points, that the car isn't leaking anything, that the brake lines are working, all that. And we stick our head in the cabin and we go put it in four-wheel drive. And so people are like, yeah, some people will go, how do I do that?
Oh Jesus.
And I go, well, it's good
Yeah,
that we know that now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before you need
And
it. Yeah.
right, right. Yeah, I have a client that up in Jersey on the beach, he had bought a Rubicon Gladiator,
Good.
really nice truck,
Yeah.
and he's out driving on the beach, and he gets framed out, he gets bogged, uh, and
Didn't air down.
he's freaking out. Well, yeah, one, but it gets to the
Yeah, I'm
point
sure.
where, man, he's freaking out. He's like, man, this thing sucks. I thought the Jeeps were supposed to be capable. And then he's calling a tow truck, and the guy goes, man, it's going to be like $700-800 for me to get you out of there.
Cheap.
Right. He told me some guy with like a beer in his hand walks down the beach in sandals, just short sandals, and he goes, what's wrong, man? And he goes, I can't get this thing on. He looks inside, he's like, oh, hold on. Puts it in four-wheel drive,
Oh,
puts it in
shut
four-wheel,
up.
just,
Yeah.
Oh my
yep.
God.
and when he told me this, I was like, buddy, it's not always in four-wheel drive.
Yeah.
It's, you gotta, yeah. So, but that's the majority of the people, right? And
That's
I
the problem.
think
Like
that
people
it's
just,
very,
they think they should buy all the gear before learning how to actually drive. You
yeah.
should actually
Well,
start on a stock vehicle and, build your skill
absolutely.
level first and then, yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. Get stuck.
Yeah.
Figure out why the car got stuck.
Yeah.
Right. Or can't clear an obstacle. Figure out why.
Mhm.
Right? Like, could you have made it with more skill? Was it spotting? Was it the actual capability of the truck? Then spend your money.
Right.
But the spending the money thing is easy, right? Because like, especially now with how everything's available online, you don't even have to shop. You just go to the Instagram page of the truck that you like.
Yeah. Buy all his
Click
shit.
on the build list. Exactly. You click
Yeah.
on the build list, click through, and then he gets a commission, and you bought the thing to make his truck look like yours, or your truck look like his.
Right.
Huh? Going out there and getting stuck and not figuring out what to do, that takes time.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no shame in that.
We need to start only trucks.
Only trucks.
Subscribe.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
actually,
I mean,
that's actually so. One of the things that we were thinking about doing, and I pulled on the Instagram page, was if people would be willing to pay for a subscription to trail cameras on the trails that we do. And then what I was going to do is put it on. We usually, anytime I map a trail, I put what we call a bounty hole. So the most challenging obstacle on the trail.
okay.
And the biggest concern usually here in South Florida is if it's too flooded out, right? If it's too flooded out, you can go, but you have to get out every couple feet. And if the water's too deep, you're gonna have to crawl out the window, crawl back in the window. It's just, it can be a bad time.
Yeah.
And without the part where you might, get the engines sucking water, then you're really screwed.
Yeah.
So I asked people if they would be willing to pay, $5-10 a month just to be able to access essentially state of the trail
Yeah, you can
footage.
check it out ahead of time before you get up there. That'd be actually pretty rad. Yeah.
Right. So we were thinking about that, and we got a pretty positive answer. And I said, all right, well, during the summer, which is when things slow down for us, just because it gets so freaking hot, I'll go out there and put the cameras out myself. And then so that's something that we've thought about doing because the purpose of the club, the reason I started the club is because of what we're saying. There's a lot of there's basically unlimited information available, but there's essentially no curation of what the information is, right? You don't know if the person that's telling you, hey, you should buy these shocks, you should buy these tires, is just shilling
Hmm.
because they're getting a cut
Which is a lot
or
of the
because they
time.
like this. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I'll go back to that in a second. Or genuinely knows, right? If the person genuinely knows, most of the people that are really experienced and know what they're doing, they're not on Instagram posting about it, right? They go out there doing
They're
stuff.
they're doing it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they're doing it exactly. You can either talk about it or be about it.
Yep.
But I'm sure. I mean, I don't know if you guys run these. You guys can give me some feedback if you do. But one of the things that I noticed was there was a lot of let's call it paid positive uh, advertising for it. Was the Patagonia MTs?
Dude, yeah. I can see you started mentioning that. That's like a huge one because so many influencers were
This
like,
guy.
I had the Patagonias, but
Okay.
I bought mine. I wasn't one of those influencers who gets them for free, and they all loved them. They're
Okay.
like, oh yeah, Milestars, Patagonias are the best. But then as soon as like their sponsorship deal ran out, they all switched tires. You know,
Right. So, what did you think of the tire?
I wasn't. I mean,
Cupping issues.
Yeah, I had
They
a lot.
wear out fast.
Yeah, I had a lot of
They're
cupping
loud.
issues. I mean, they worked good as far as like when I first got them, and it's we have a lot of rocks and stuff, so they're really grippy, which is nice, and they're a cheap
Hmm.
price point, good entry level
They look
price
cool.
point, and they look cool, but they just didn't wear very long. They wore out really quick, a lot of
That's
cupping.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's what I've heard from pretty much everybody who's owned them.
yeah,
Uh, it's interesting because they sponsored that I don't know if they sponsored Ultimate Adventure or the 24 Hours of Hell. They sponsored a very
they
serious
yeah they had some marketing going
event.
on for a while. They were sponsoring
Yeah.
everybody, just
Yeah,
getting
the
out
summer
there.
camp I went to, the
Yeah,
main guy was there.
yeah.
Milestar.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
sponsor a
So
lot of
I
groups.
mean, they did some pretty hard trails from what I saw in the videos, and the tires were holding up. I don't know if they gave them different compounds or something, or they like
Maybe.
specifically made sure those were perfect.
Yeah,
No, I
yeah.
mean
But
just the basic tires, they were really grippy. I mean, when they're brand new, they're really good tires.
Yeah, right off.
It's more about like
Longevity.
longevity was just crap.
Yeah. Initially, yeah.
Right.
If I had them for free and like every time I wore them out, they give me a new set. Fuck,
Every
I'd run
10,000
them all day
miles?
long. No problem.
Right.
But when I'm,
Right.
I'm paying for them with my paycheck, and then I'm gonna,
Right.
yeah.
Whiskey time, guys.
Oh yeah, you're gonna get something. All right.
Go
All
ahead, go
right.
ahead.
All right.
I don't
Yeah.
know if you remember the original tire that did that basically sold essentially at cost and gave a lot of advertising towards at that point it was still forums, but it was the Falcon AT3W.
Oh yeah,
Yep. But those are pretty
Man,
solid
that's
tires.
that's what I have.
Yeah, Ben's
No,
got
they're good
those. Yeah,
tires.
yeah.
They're good tires, but man, I remember they were so cheap when they came out.
Yeah.
When they first came out, yeah, now they're expensive.
So cheap.
yeah, ton
No,
of
they
marketing.
because
Yeah.
now they actually now they actually have to make money off of them, right? Eventually, at that point, they were just selling them at a cost to get the name out. Which you know what, man,
Yeah.
smart on their end.
Yeah, especially when you're
But
beating with the big
that's
boys with like
nice.
Sorry, we're doing a little commercial here, courtesy of Chef Sean here.
Oh, that's his boulet.
The
you
Boulet
go.
Bourbon. It's the barrel strength Frontier
shoot.
whiskey here.
I was
so
gonna drink some too. But,
there you go. It's for the fans.
There you go.
I just got my small little bottle here, so I'm just gonna.
This is what we do. We just
Yeah,
we
sorry.
drink,
Sorry,
so
yeah.
we interrupt you for drinks.
Oh, it's all good, man.
But I'm currently running. I've done BFGs. I did the Milestars, and I have like the Kenda RTs right now, and I've loved
How
those.
do you like those?
I'm loving it. Because
They got expensive too.
that was the thing. They were pretty
Yeah.
cheap when I first got them, and now the prices have been going up. Now they've become more popular.
Yeah.
I was looking at them today. They were like $300 something a tire for 33s.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
On Walmart.com.
Yeah, Walmart's like one of the cheapest
Yeah.
places to get them. But I liked it because that good crossover. Because I always ran mud
Yeah.
terrains, which are fine, but 90% of the time on the highway driving to a location, you know.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, and all terrains are fine, but it's like nice balance in between. So I've been pretty happy.
But all terrains are better in the
Yeah.
snow.
Yeah, in the snow and sand, all terrains are better.
Yeah.
You know, but when you're doing rocks and stuff like that, then it's nice having the muds. You know, get that
Yeah.
little more.
If you're in the
love.
swamps of Florida, you're
If
only
you're, yeah, you
getting
guys are
mud
probably all
terrains.
running mud trains, right? Yeah.
So my favorite tire, believe it or not, is actually the Duratrack. I've had 4 or
Oh,
5
those are
sets of that
dope.
tire.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they're really, really good. I mean, I've never had an issue at all with them. The one time that I had uneven wear, 100% my fault. The alignment was
error.
all over the place on the truck. Yeah. And actually, shout out to back then, I don't know if they still do it, but Discount Tire, man, I told them like, hey, this happened. And they're like, listen, we're not supposed to give you a replacement tire, but what we can do is whatever amount of tread you have left, we'll cover the other amount. Right? So right, so they basically paid for the tire that I had worn down. So I paid, I got a pretty decent discount. So, and that's another company I've never had an issue with. They've always been great. I think they
Yeah.
got bought out
they're
by
pretty solid.
Tire Rack, right?
No. So I'm very familiar with
Yeah,
this.
he's big on the tire.
Okay.
So, well, in California, it's called America's Tire.
It's
Everywhere
both.
else in the
Okay.
country, it's Discount Tire.
Yeah,
And so they purchased Tire Rack, and then so they did that because Discount Tire is based out of Arizona, where I'm from. And so they're super dope company, and exactly what you're describing right now is exactly what I just did last Friday on my wife's van. So we went through 3 sets of tires, and she only has 75,000 miles on the van. 3 sets of tires, and they're rated at 65,000 miles.
Oh, geez.
So it's a tread wear warranty. So it's based off of which tires you purchase. They have a tread wear warranty. So I ended up going with the Michelin Defenders on the minivan because it's a plug-in hybrid, very heavy. It's heavier than my truck.
Yeah.
And so I went with a
All those batteries.
light truck tire. It's actually the best rated for it. So they're super quiet, super
Nice.
smooth and everything, but I got like half off. I think I paid like $400 and something for 4 new tires.
The whole set?
For Michelin's, and they're like
pretty good.
$300 a
That's
piece,
really
dude.
good. Shit, I
Yeah.
wish.
Yeah,
But you have to
that's
buy
pretty
to like do it
Yeah,
to like
yeah.
for the we'll like look past that type of deal. You have to buy the certs, which are another like $40 tire, but
Yeah,
it's worth it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly. You're front loading the cost and kind of getting
Yeah,
yourself
it's
peace of
insurance.
mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, essentially is what it is. Yeah, but all of this to say that it's hard to tell when someone's being honest with their opinion of a product online.
Absolutely.
100%.
And with tires, the other side of the coin. So that's from the let's call it the provider of information side, right? It's really hard to tell when they're being honest. From the consumer side, it's really sometimes people have a hard time when they're unfamiliar with a hobby or with an activity. They have a hard time figuring out how does it apply to them, right?
Okay. Yep.
Because, and I've had this conversation many times in the club. They'll ask me, well, should I get, typical question, should I get an all terrain? Should I get a mud terrain? Should I get a cross? What do you call it?
Like a hybrid.
RT.
Yeah.
Yeah, an RT, exactly, an RT, a rugged terrain.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell them, the example I gave someone today actually was when you watch. I'm gonna be bold here and talk about soccer, but if you watch soccer, right? The guys are
Football,
mostly
right?
walking or jogging, right? Yeah, that terrible thing they play over there in Europe. But if you watch soccer, yeah, sure, the guys are walking and jogging most of the time, but when do they score the goals? Right? When they're sprinting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the example I tell people when they are asking me about tire choice, where how important is it to perform when things get tough?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Is it really important for you? Okay, then you should go with a more aggressive tire.
Yeah. Makes
If
sense.
you're okay with getting stuck or having to struggle to find traction, having to put more wheel spin, then get something else, right? And there is a compromise, right? Because if you tell me you're driving, an hour and a half every day, I would not tell you to get a mud terrain. You're just wasting your money there.
Yeah, if it's your daily driver or something like that, especially.
Get a second set.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, exactly. That's really the best thing. That's the best idea until you have to change the tires.
Yeah,
Yeah.
constantly. Yeah.
Get some air tools.
Yeah. Fuck
Yeah,
that, dude.
exactly,
I got
exactly.
37s. I don't want to change those fuckers.
It's a workout.
Because they
It
weigh
is.
a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, they weigh a lot. Yeah, we
Leno will tell
one
you
of
how to
my-
squat properly and pick it up.
Yeah, there you go.
that's awesome.
You're supposed to bend
we
with the
actually-
back and twist, right?
Yeah, so everything with your
Lift
back.
with your
You
back,
lift with your
right?
back.
Yeah.
lower back. Yeah.
Lower back.
Sharp twisting motions.
Yeah.
The
One of
obviously
my
sarcasm. Hopefully, it's coming through. So
Yeah, hopefully.
hopefully, this is not formal advice on exercise, please.
No.
Um, yeah, man. Those tires, it's crazy how much the bigger tires start to weigh, right? Because I remember even my 35s back in the day that I had them on the Nissan, they were like 100 plus pounds.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
That
with
was
a
a
rim.
35. Yeah, you don't want to be the person having to haul that up and down. Actually, we were doing our scouting last weekend for our ride next weekend, and I had one of the guys in the group was a Gladiator on, I believe, 37s, and he had those black Rhino wheels.
Oh, yeah.
They're rad.
heavy.
Fucking
Yeah.
heavy.
They're beautiful and
Yeah.
heavy. Yeah, they're very, very cool. They look like tank wheels,
Yeah, the
basically.
military-looking ones. That's what
Yeah.
James has on his
Yeah.
F350.
Yeah. They're bitching, but fuck, they're heavy.
Yeah, they're heavy and they're expensive, and we bent one.
Oh, you bent one?
Wow.
Yep. He, it's a Gladiator diesel, so it's not a light car, but it's also not an F350 like you were saying.
No.
Yeah.
And we when we scout, what we'll do is most of the time we like basically hit every possible piece of the trail and then create a route. And then when we take people on the ride, we take them through the route. And he decided to. We came up to kind of a finish point, and I turned around, kind of did like a 3-point J turn, and he decides to kind of drop into a mud bog and come around and do like a kind of like a big wide U-turn, and then the lip to get back onto the main grade was just a little too sharp. He was coming in a little too hot, and you can see it in the videos, just like the hiss of the just like the psst.
Oh.
And the guy behind him was like, "Hey man, I think you got a flat." So he pulls over. We start taking the tools out, and I stick my hand under the truck and I go, "Man, I got bad news." And he goes, "What?" And I was like, "That wheel is bent."
Yeah.
And he goes, "What do you mean?" I was like, "The wheel is no longer round."
Tacoed it, man.
Yeah. And for a moment, we thought about like, maybe we can bang it back into place. There was no banging that back into place. So fortunately, he had a spare.
Was it a
But-
full-size spare?
No, of
Oh,
course not,
that's why he
because then it
said
wouldn't be
a
fun.
spare.
Yeah, that's what I was getting.
Yeah.
I picked up on that.
yeah.
Yeah, that would have not made it as fun. So we had to put I guess the Gladiators bring like 33s or 34s from the factory, the kind of higher end ones, I
Rubicon?
think, right?
Rubicon?
It's a Rubicon, yeah.
Yeah, it's a 33.
Yeah.
Right. So we had to put that thing on there. And actually, that's one of the things we check when we do what we call the challenge rides, which is a ride that's meant to be challenging, as the name implies. At Tech, when we do Tech inspection, we make sure, like, do you have a full-size spare? Do you have a jack that actually lifts your truck off the ground?
Yeah.
Do you have the tools to take the tire off? Because we want to find that out in the parking lot,
Yeah.
not when you're stuck.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so yeah. Anyways, we bent that wheel, and so you can keep this in or not, however you want. 100% true story. I'll get you the email if you want. Rhino offered them. You ready?
Yeah.
Rhino offered them a discount on buying another wheel. $5.
Wow.
Wow.
Thanks.
Dang,
Hey,
man.
hey.
That's the hookup right there.
That's
Jesus.
that's just embarrassing.
That's pretty sad.
I,
That's like
Where did
that's
he
almost
buy
like
them?
an insult, dude. Just
It is. I'd be
yeah.
like, I'll pay full price.
Yeah,
just
keep your
because that's an
$5.
insult. Yeah.
Right. When he told me this, I started going off. I just went on a rant. It's like, man, we should tell him all the things we can do with those $5 that you saved.
You're
Yeah.
right.
Get 1
Yeah.
gallon of
You can
gas.
buy-
Yeah.
Right, exactly. You can buy 1 gallon of gas. You can buy half a foot long at Subway. You can buy,
You should do
You
a bunch
can-
of little
you can
stories.
Well,
with
you
like,
can get
it's like,
6
look what I got
inches
with my- yeah.
of sub.
yeah, exactly. So it was embarrassing. And he bought it through an online retailer. And I don't know who it was, but they did do him a solid. They said, you know what? We'll send you another wheel. Send us the bent one. We'll take care of it. Don't worry about it.
That's
so the
cool.
retailer
They'll warranty
did,
it
but,
out, yeah.
That's kind of
Yeah.
that's kind of shady
But-
that like Rhino wouldn't do anything. I mean, that's kind of like that looks bad on their product being able to bend like
It looks
that.
terrible, man.
And then that's all they're willing to
Exactly.
do. Like you think they'd be on top of that a little
They're
more?
like, hey, man, we'll hook you up.
yeah.
$5.
Yeah.
$5, yeah. You can get, well, I guess technically now you can only get 4 McChickens, but at one point you can get 5 McChickens. You know, but it's man. I mean, I told him like this is rude. It's disrespectful.
Yeah.
I would,
$5.
yeah. Screw you. I'm going to sell my other 3 and go buy something else at that point.
Yeah.
Shoot.
Right. Yeah, and man, I mean, at least in my experience, as far as running a business, one upset customer outweighs, 150 to 100 happy customers because they're the ones that are going to go out there and complain.
Yeah.
Well, that's the other thing I was
So-
going to say when you're talking about forums and the advice and everything else. There's also people
yeah.
that just go on and complain about products.
Oh yeah.
And there's more times than not they'll complain as opposed to give you a good review.
Yeah.
And the complainers and this, not this instance, but sometimes the complainers, it's actually their fault. Their product was bad. You know what I mean?
Sure,
like it
yeah.
was user
User
error.
error a lot of the times.
So
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, going back to your point, it's just like, one customer can really do some damage.
Yeah, and he was a nice guy about it. He kind of laughed it off when they offered him the $5 off. But like you said, man, it's these companies live and die by their reputation online, and something like that can be very bad for them. I have no intention of roasting them on the internet. I just wanted to share it with you guys. So that was hilarious.
No, but I mean, hey,
fair.
listen, they still look cool.
Yeah, they'll still look
Yeah,
rad,
they look
but-
awesome. Yeah, they look really cool. But what am I gonna tell someone when somebody asks me about those wheels? Where I was like, man, I saw one get bent.
Get methods.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend them. Yeah.
Exactly. That's what you should be doing.
Yeah, get something a little
Yeah.
lighter. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's just stuff that happens on the trail. Actually, it's funny because we were already on our way out, and that happened because he decided to take a little detour on his own.
Have a little fun. That's usually how it happens.
Yeah,
Here,
it's
hold
always-
my beer.
You said he was like going through the mud, right? He wanted to do some mud bogging, right?
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah.
okay,
He hit a lip.
yeah, you hit the lip, and it, obviously bent the
Just
rim,
enough,
let
yeah.
the air out, and everything else. I
Yeah.
mean, was the tire salvageable?
Oh no, the tire was fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good.
Tire was
Yeah.
fine because he rolled with it flat maybe 40 yards just coming out of the mud bog and pulling over.
Okay.
And we were able to get him going, within 30 minutes between that's another thing that happens a lot of times when you go on a trail, right? Something happens and it's too many cooks, right? Everybody's like, oh, you
geez.
grab here. Okay, no, dude. It's like, guys, one person's got to talk. Everybody else just chill out. Like if you're not comfortable with what the person's doing, step in. Otherwise, just chill.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah,
how
if it's
people
not
get hurt.
safe, then yeah.
Right. Yeah, but it was smooth. We had air tools. We had a high lift. They were so happy to use the high lift. They're like, oh, get the high lift. Get the high lift. It's like, man, I'm not a fan of the high lift, dude.
I hate it.
They're sketchy, man.
Yeah.
That's like a death
Yeah,
trap. That's why I
yeah.
got a Pro Eagle.
Yeah. Like they usually that's
Yeah,
the thing
no,
too. Even if they do have the high lift in their vehicle, you should make sure they know how to use it properly because that thing could jack
Right.
somebody up pretty quick.
Yeah, no, you can. I've seen it. Like it's ripped out of my hands on the way up and dropped the truck in one shot. Like that's using it incorrectly, like we were saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's an old farm tool, right? It's like a
farm jack.
150-year-old farm tool.
Yeah.
It's-
I mean, used
exactly.
properly,
That's from-
it's great, but it can,
Oh yeah.
Great as a come
You ever
along.
try to?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say, you ever try to use it as a come along?
No. Yeah. I know
No.
you
You better
can,
have some
but
strong freaking arms.
Yeah.
yeah,
you
you better have
that's
to work out.
I mean, that's why you sell workout, right?
Yeah.
That should be part of the
If you
exercise.
want- yeah,
Yeah, that should be part of my.
A class of just
Should be changing 37s and jacking up the car with a high lift.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
CrossFit
10
shit
more
right
reps.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can convince the CrossFit people to do pretty much everything.
Oh
Right?
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. You never seen that video of the guys that are literally digging sand like
Yeah.
a dog would, like just scooping sand between their legs?
Yeah.
Oh,
And that was like
yeah.
a workout.
Is that
Yeah.
one of the workouts? Oh my god,
Dude,
dude.
it's a joke, man.
It's-
I'm sorry. Hey,
Yeah.
you know what's funny? Okay, not to talk about this isn't a workout podcast, but I will say this: all the people I know that do CrossFit are always injured.
Oh yeah.
They're always injured. Their form is terrible. I see them do like these like power cleans and shit. And they're like
Yeah.
2
Well-
weeks later, they're like, I'm like, why aren't you working out? And they're like, oh, I threw out my back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think I can even do a parallel between the off-roading stuff and that because just like that stuff got super popular, right? The let's call it mixed type of workouts got super popular because of the internet. The off-roading stuff, the overlanding stuff also got super popular. And when that happens, you get people who might have good intentions with how they lead others, right? How they provide information. But, and they might not know that they're putting someone in danger or they're giving them bad advice. I got into Olympic lifts when I was in high school. I kind of already knew I wanted to be in the whole weight room stuff. And a lot of the guys that are teaching that, guys and girls actually, they'll do like a weekend certification, and then they'll be like, oh,
Yep.
I'm an Olympic weightlifting coach.
Yeah, all of a sudden, yeah.
Like,
You know?
yeah, right.
Yeah. And you combine that with, somebody who rides a desk for 8 hours a day and then sits in the car for another hour and then sits on the couch for another hour. It's a bad combination.
That sounds like me. Wait a minute.
That's a professional TV
Wait a
watcher.
minute. I feel attacked right now. Hold on.
No.
I have to
That's perfectly fine. I think that that's better than nothing, right? Working out that way is better than nothing.
I went to the
But
gym today.
I believe you.
I did. I have a sinus infection. That's why I sound funny. So I have a sinus infection. I tried doing cardio yesterday. I was like, I can't breathe.
You're dying. Yeah.
Yeah, you feel like there's like a cinder block on your chest.
Yeah,
You know
exactly.
exactly the feeling.
Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah, but it's very similar in that, like, it's really people. I didn't come up with this, but someone that I listened to their podcast was saying you're always more critical of the things you're familiar with, right? So like if you read an article or you watch a video and it's something that's in your realm, you're like, oh, this guy's full of crap.
Yeah, I
He's,
can
he's wrong
shoot
about this, he's wrong about that.
Yeah.
Right. But if you watch something that you're unfamiliar with and the guy kind of sounds confident and he sounds like he's got a good picture, like, oh, this guy
Yeah,
knows what he's talking about.
Shit, yeah.
Right. And then it's like, I should buy the thing that he said to buy. And it's that's kind of the thing I always try to keep in my mind with being like very quickly acquiring the things that help you just like determine whether something is crap or not, right?
Mm-hmm.
But most people just be like, ooh, shiny, right? And they like click on the thing and then they buy the thing and then they put the thing on their truck.
Yep.
Right.
So I like to say
Yeah, I
my
have.
trucking gear has gone through evolutions.
Oh, yes. The evolutions.
Yeah.
Yes.
There was a lot of shiny objects.
I have a garage full of shiny objects. Trust me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and at that point, you got right? Like you already bought the thing.
Oh, yeah. I'm already.
Yeah, guess what? We learned, and that's why we're sharing it with other people because we're like, hey, listen, this thing really doesn't do what you think it does.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what's I'm gonna go on a tangent here, but it's relevant. You guys seen that red shovel that kind of has the teeth on the end?
Oh, yeah, the killer shovel.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Something.
What is that for?
So you can kill zombies.
The apocalypse shovel.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's supposed to be able to dig better, but like I used to own a landscaping company. I would never use that fucking shovel to dig in my life,
No,
dude.
the
The teeth will bend.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, they would bend exactly.
I don't get it. I mean, and it's like what?
Snaggletooth.
It's like $300 or something for that shovel. I
Yeah,
don't
it's
know.
super expensive.
Dude, you know who has one is Herb.
Oh,
he
I'm
has
sure.
one. It
He's
has
got all the
blue
bougie
one.
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just
Has he ever used it?
Probably not.
Probably not.
No.
Nah.
Go down to Home Depot
Yeah.
or Lowe's, pick yourself up a fucking real shovel. You know, if
Yeah,
it's
an
too long,
Anvil
cut
or
the- yeah.
Corona. Which one would you recommend there, sir?
Coronas are pretty good.
Corona's really
They're
good, dude.
solid.
I like them. I had my hedge trimmers are Corona. They're really good.
If the handle's too long, just cut it a little shorter. You know,
Yeah,
you're
it's
good.
like a sawed-off shotgun. You know, if the gun's too long, you just saw it off, right?
Yeah.
Just so off the barrel,
That's how
yeah.
it works, right?
Sarcasm
so let me ask you
again.
something about that. Since you might have a better experience with that stuff. So here, for a long time, I carried basically the longest shovel that I could carry, basically a 4-foot handle on a spade.
Okay.
And that's because a lot of times when the mud gets saturated, when the soil gets saturated, it gets super heavy,
Yeah.
and you need to really leverage it to kind of scoop it out.
Mm-hmm.
Right. The problem with that, I mean, aside from having to haul around a 4-foot shovel,
Right.
was that it was very annoying to get under the truck.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what should you use for essentially digging out from under the car when it comes to mud? Should it be a trenching tool? Should it be a spade? What should you use to move that kind of like saturated soil?
You ever been in the military?
Yeah. Yeah. A little fold up.
Have you heard of an e-tool?
Yeah. Right.
Like a trenching? Yeah, I have.
Yeah,
Well, that's
yeah.
what I have now because I learned eventually. Okay.
Yeah, I keep like a primarily like my go-to is just like a little short, stubby, like 3-foot shovel. You know, that way I can get underneath there. You know, and
It's also great for when you poop in the woods.
yeah, you can take it with you. You know, good for digging little foxholes.
Provide a little
you know?
hole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah,
And just
but like
cover it,
like
make
you're
sure you
saying
cover it.
though, like a longer shovel would be nice. Just sometimes for getting that leverage, and you're digging you got to dig a little bit deeper. You're not on your hands and knees and shit like that. But
Right.
yeah, I prefer having like a smaller shovel. I have more control over it. I can get underneath the truck more and kind of scrape away versus
Right.
having this big long handle getting caught up on everything. You know, so
Yeah.
So to that point, I actually have the small shovel, but I also have this a little bit longer than the small shovel, but it's like a mid-size rake, but it's a metal rake. But the head isn't like one of those long broad heads. It's a real short one, and it has like a flat one on the side. And I think that would be really good for like grabbing and pulling some stuff out. I mean, it's the same one I use when I'm like raking the rocks out underneath the tent.
Yeah, you're a ground tent guy.
Yeah, I'm a ground tent guy. Yeah. So one of those poor people. One of those poor people.
Yeah.
We were one of the group chats. We were joking because I was helping a few of the guys buy awnings, and one of the guys who's there who everything on his truck. He has actually. I helped him drive the truck down from the Carolinas. He bought a Porsche Cayenne.
Nice. Hell yeah.
Beautiful truck.
Hell yeah.
Turbo, non-turbo, V8, V6, what? I need to know.
It's a V8. It's a V8. I convinced him not to buy the turbo just because... Yeah, exactly. Because I told him, man, like, I know like you don't mind spending money on this stuff, but when those turbos go, it's going to be...
It's like 15 grand.
A lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what year is it? Is it like 08, 09?
I believe it's an 09.
Oh, perfect.
If I'm not mistaken.
Perfect. You got the best one. Yeah. All right. Sorry.
Ben was in the market for one of those.
I was in the market for a long time. I was like researching the hell out of them.
Yeah. No, look, man, they're good trucks. So I had the first lifted Touareg in Florida.
Oh, rad.
Back when these guys from in North Carolina, they are called Eurowise, I think.
Yeah, Eurowise, yeah. They're doing a lot of rally stuff now. They put an R8 with rally on it. Yeah.
Yep. No, the owner, we met him when he was over there, when we were over there, better said. True car enthusiast, really stands behind his work.
Nice.
They're solid.
My dad is, my dad is an obsessive person when it comes to things being done right. So that's kind of got drilled into my head.
Yeah, the meticulous.
And I couldn't find anything to complain about at his shop. There was nothing. I was like, this guy does
a lot of YouTubers are going to them now and building out their rally cars and stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there was some other guy who just bought a Porsche 911 and they're gonna build it all out.
Ooh,
yeah, nice. Dude, Eurowise has got some. They got some stuff, dude. No, I was jonesing on it.
Man, he's legit. He's passionate, and he actually stands behind his work, right? Which is always a good thing to see. But yeah, so what were we talking about, the Cayenne?
Yeah, the Cayenne. You were talking about the awnings.
Yeah, you were doing a.
You said this one guy gets the awnings. Yeah.
Right. So, because you said the us poors on the ground tents.
Poors on the floor.
I was helping a couple of guys in one of the group chats that were in buy awnings, nice awnings, CVT awnings, decent brand.
Yeah.
And he initially had said that he wanted one, and I said, well, are you still interested? And he goes, actually, you know what? I'm gonna get a hard shell awning. Which, by the way, did you know that was a thing?
I do, because I've been looking at them recently for my truck. What are you laughing at me for, fucker? I can't afford one. They're fucking rad.
I know, that's why I'm laughing.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
The poor's on the floor. He's calling me the poor on the floor, but he can't afford the hard on.
Dude, they're fucking expensive, dude. Because I'm worried about dragging it on shit. My truck's already wide as it is. And
they're pretty dope. I like them.
Yeah, it'd be rad to
you see them on Sprinter vans a lot. Yeah. The ones that scissor out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we were just joking because it's like, all right, of course you got to get the hard shell on, and you can't be with us poors on the floor. Yeah.
Gotta have the bougie shit,
fun
man.
To drive.
Yeah.
No, and look, I think that people should take pride in what they build and what they put together, and it should also. I think a lot of times those things are an extension of your personality, right?
100%.
A lot of times how you. So that truck was actually really fun to drive down. We flew up from South Florida to Carolina. And then we drove it down.
Nice road trip.
Man, I remember. Yeah, it was. We stopped right at the border between Georgia and Florida.
Florida Georgia line.
Oh, there's this.
I had to throw it in there.
So we go to this place, and he goes, "Man, I found an Airbnb. It's really cool. It's this fishing cabin, this and that." And I'm like, "All right, man, that's fine. That's cool. We'll do that." By the time we get to this fishing cabin, it's like 2 a.m. And we're exhausted. It's in the middle of nowhere. And the dude explicitly tells us, do not follow the GPS. The GPS will take you to the opposite side of the river, and you will not be able to get here.
Oh, shit.
So we didn't. We didn't follow the GPS, but it was like this giant loop coming back around. And like I said, it's like 2 in the morning. You ever been on a road trip with somebody and like you're so tired that nobody talks anymore?
Oh
Yeah, that was Jared and I
Yeah.
driving my Mini Cooper from Seattle. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Right.
We're just like dead
There's a
silent
point
for a
where,
while.
yeah, and you're just like, man, I think we should stop. Just like exhausted, completely
Hitting the
exhausted.
wall. Yeah.
And exactly. And we get there and we find the place. And I was comfortable with the heated seats and the heater on. And I think it was like January or February when we did this last year. Open the door. It's like it's not cold, but it's cold if you've been in a heater inside,
Yeah.
if you've been sitting in front
Yeah.
of the heater in the car. So it's like in the 40s, maybe low 40s, high 30s. And I go outside and I run up to the cabin because it was like elevated above, like it was like on stilts.
Uh-huh.
And I go in there, and like the cold starts setting in, and I was like, I was so exhausted. Like, I'm really cold. I'm really cold. And my friend's like, chill out, man, chill out. I was like, no, I'm really cold. Like I literally grabbed all my clothes from my bag, just started putting on clothes,
Layering up.
layers, yeah. And then, I guess I was expecting too much. I would have thought it would have been nice that if you were checking in, somebody would have turned the heater on for you.
All ready for you.
The house
Yeah.
was frozen, man. It was in the again,
Airbnb, man. This ain't no hotel.
They don't give a
This ain't no
shit.
Ritz Carlton.
yeah, we basically had to do the laundry after for him too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that was so funny, and I remember on the way over he was like, "Hey man, you got to keep talking or we're gonna fall asleep."
Oh shit. Yeah.
Like,
That's where we
crap,
were at,
okay.
dude.
Yep. Been there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it was fun, and then when we woke up, we were we
Were you
we jokingly
cuddling?
called it
Is
the
it to
bird.
keep warm? Is that what
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We were cuddling. No, we jokingly called it the murder cabin because at night everything looks scary.
Oh yeah.
Everything looks scary in the woods at night.
Some random
So
cabin.
we wake up and it's like, yeah, exactly. Imagine a cabin you never been to, 2 in the morning, you're
Oh, yeah.
exhausted. It's the murder cabin. And then I was joking with him. I was like, dude, if somebody kills us out here, like, no one's gonna know.
Nobody's
No
gonna
one's
know.
know.
Yeah.
No. Who's gonna know?
Who's gonna know?
Yeah, exactly. So, and he's like, and he started kind of tripping out. He's like, man, stop it, don't talk about that.
Yeah, you're fucking.
He's like, wait, are
Yeah.
you gonna murder
We
me?
wake
Yeah,
up.
wait.
Right. It's like, where's this going? Where's this going? What are you trying to
Yeah.
say? And we wake up and it's like, it was such a beautiful place, man. We're like, oh, this is nice. We sat by the river. The river was literally in the back of the
Oh,
cabin.
rad.
Just sat there. Yep.
Yeah,
And
so many
then
times
we,
some fishing?
you'll get into camp late. Like 90% of the time I pull into camp at dark and I have no idea
Yep.
how I got there. But yeah, you wake up in
Yep.
the morning and make, oh shit, this is rad.
We have found some cool spots where it was late, it
Yeah.
was dark, and then all of a sudden we're like, damn, this
Yeah.
is nice.
Yeah, we scored. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you guys are very lucky out there with all of the land that's available for use. And how organized or structured is it for where you can camp?
We're
Depends
pretty
on what
fortunate.
state too.
Well, no, for California, yeah.
Yeah, California,
Specifically.
it's pretty good. I mean, I used to think it's only yellow post sites, which are like these designated campsites with the fire ring and everything. But they have a lot of dispersed camping out here. In like
Okay.
public land.
Yeah,
There's
BLM.
BLM. You can do a lot more on BLM. You can like actually shoot guns and do stuff like that. But then there's
Yeah.
also like the national forests, which are basically just camping, and then you have to like figure out if there's a fire. In California, they require a fire permit, even with a propane stove. So you have to like check all the rules and everything.
rules
But
there.
California, there's a lot of rules. But yeah, like just make sure you have your fire license, which is free. And it takes like 5 minutes to get it and digitally. And then you can pretty much go to any dispersed camping. There's tons of it all over. And 395 is probably the most famous, especially on Instagram. That's where you see like all the Alabama hills, where you see like the desert, but then the snow-capped mountains and
Yeah, in
stuff.
the background. And
That's up to
Gotcha.
395.
Okay,
I mean, there's a ton
yeah,
of camping
it's
out here.
essentially like you'll just go down some, Forest Service road or a fire road or something, some dirt road. And basically wherever you can pull off that road for the most part, you can camp there.
Yeah.
If you're in these.
You tread lightly, so like,
Yeah,
you have to
don't-
see if there's like,
if it's
there
a
are a lot of
designated
people.
turnout or something like that, don't just like start bushwhacking through the shrubs
Yeah.
and shit like
It,
that.
w- it
That's
won't be
very
marked
frowned upon.
like with like yellow posts unless it is a yellow post site, but it will be very obvious that people camp there.
Okay. Yeah, you guys have even though you're saying there's a lot of rules, it's actually a little more, a little less structured over there than it is here in Florida. Here, you can only really disperse camp in the federal properties.
Okay.
Yeah.
And even then, they'll have designated campsites. So you can do both on federal land. On state land, there's no dispersed camping. You have to reserve a campsite and camp within the spot that you reserved.
Okay.
Talk to your
Which,
boy
I
DeSantis,
don't
man. Like, yo,
Open
open
it
up some land, bro.
Yeah, actually, without getting into all that stuff, he actually through what's called the Florida Off-Road Foundation, he actually the state of Florida gives a certain percent of the revenue to this foundation that's for trail
Oh,
cleanups,
rad.
and
Yeah, that's awesome.
empowering and education. Yeah, we did a cleanup with them last October up in this property in an area called West Palm Beach. Actually, where certain politicians live in
Right.
their
Yeah,
That's
day to
what,
day.
we need a cleanup out
Yeah,
here.
we don't mind. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
We're donating some money back. Let's get some cleanup, neighborhood cleanup, we'll call it.
Yeah.
So we were up there for that cleanup, and they actually were telling me that the state of Florida for April, I think, because April's Earth Day, right? It's in April.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
April like
so,
20th is like
1920.
yeah,
Yeah.
that weekend of
Yeah, something like that. So they were telling me that they were gonna like the state of Florida was actually gonna endorse April as like the official month of trail cleanups, like responsible outdoor recreation. Like you guys said, tread lightly, right?
Yeah,
The,
yeah.
the whole concept. And so hopefully we have a cleanup plan for April. We try to do 2 a year. Hopefully that works out, and we'll get some funds from the Off-Road Foundation, ideally, so that we can actually have a large group out there.
That's good.
And yeah, man, we try to do that. We do two. Our goal is to do two trail cleanups a year, and then we do two what we call charity drives. So in November, we did a toy drive. We collected, I think, almost 90 toys, like 80 something toys.
Nice.
That's awesome.
And thank you. Yeah, we did a very easy trail ride. It was a trail that honestly you could do the entire thing in two-wheel drive if you wanted to.
Tesla.
But basically, yeah. But it's a very scenic trail. It's actually
Nice.
so the Everglades run north to south. The Everglades run from Lake Okeechobee, that lake I mentioned earlier, all the way south into the ocean.
Okay.
And this trail runs east to west across a large chunk of the state. So you'll actually see like there'll be places where the road will start to get graded just a little bit, just about a foot up, and there's these giant corrugated pipes that run perpendicular to the trail, and because that's how the water flows through it, that's how they were able to get a road there.
Okay.
And it's actually kind of funny because the gators figured it out at some point, and they'll basically just turn into the current with their mouth open
Oh, just sit there.
and just wait for
Smart.
just wait for some dumb fish. Yep, some dumb fish or crawfish or crab or something to fall in there.
Float in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. I
Yeah,
like that.
so we
Smart.
did that. Yeah, we did that. Yeah, no, that they figured out. They got their lunch figured out.
Oh yeah.
So we did that as a trail ride, and the cost for that ride was to donate a toy, at least one toy.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And yeah, we gave it to Toys for Tots. We took pictures with the Marines. They were super happy because we basically brought them like a pallet of toys,
Nice.
essentially.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So, and that's, part of the organization is that, right? It's the charitable events. We're also doing in July, I think, because kids here go back to school in August.
Yeah.
We're gonna do a school supply drive. So the cost for that
cool.
ride is gonna be to donate school supplies, which we'll donate to a local nonprofit that's what they do.
Yeah. Yeah.
But man, people like it. People like doing things for a cause.
Yep.
And also the other thing that is very common with our rides, man, is that we, just like I mentioned earlier, the challenge rides, the rides that are more difficult and more intense. We also do what we call a touring ride, which I tell people is the beginner friendly ride. And when I do the description on the webpage, I'll say like, hey, this is a ride to bring your kids, bring your wife, bring your parents. Like this is the ride where like they'll be like, oh, this whole off-roading thing
Kind
isn't
of
that
entry
bad.
level. Yeah. Okay.
Uh-huh. And we did one in January, and I'm not gonna brag here or anything, but
I'm
we
a
had
brag.
I think we had like 20 adults, and we had like 30 something kids out there with us.
Oh,
Oh,
that's
wow.
cool.
So
That's cool.
That's cool when you
Yeah,
can
and
get the
we
kids
made it.
involved and the family, because then it makes it easier.
Yep.
Like, if the kids are into it, then I can go in out and do it too.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's actually something that the dad of one of my lifelong friends who actually has a shop down here, he's like a kind of Instagram famous guy in the Jeep world. But his dad, would tell him like, if you get the kids, if you get the wife in, you're good. Like you'll
You're,
never have to sell that person on anything ever again.
yep.
And he was right, man. He was right. He was absolutely right about that. And man, the kids love it. They go out there. I mean, you've seen kids play. They can grab a stick and
Oh
they'll play
yeah.
the whole day with a stick.
Yep.
That's the thing, man. I have 2 daughters, and they're always like, I don't want to get, I don't want to get, it's boring. And then they get out there and they have the best time of their life.
Oh yeah. As soon as you get them out there, they're just
Yeah.
like going wild. Like it's kind of like freedom. And there's, I'm pretty lenient with like mine. Like when we're at camp, there, some of the rules don't always apply. It's a
Oh,
little more
you
free.
want a chocolate s'more,
Yeah.
late at night, just before bed? Sure,
Sure.
go for it.
Sounds like a great idea. Yeah. Yeah.
I I also think that people like in general, you're more at ease when you're out there, right?
Oh
Like
yeah.
it's
It's a calm.
without getting yeah, exactly. Without getting too philosophical, it's kind of like we're meant to be out there, at least, periodically.
Oh, you
You
need
know,
it. You need that
it's
recharge.
yeah, man.
Nature heals, man.
It's yeah, yeah, yeah. It's what's the meme, right? Nature is healing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're like, yeah. So with those types of events, we're right now the club is in a situation where we've been extremely blessed that the club has grown very fast. We started last July was our first official ride,
Oh, cool.
and we've tried to do about one event a month.
Hmm.
December I took a little bit of time off, but
Yeah, we were there too.
yeah, exactly.
It's a
I
busy
remember
time
we
of the
were going
year.
back and forth.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. At that point, I remember we talked a little bit because I was trying to get on a couple of shows just to kind of get to know people, and so we've been extremely lucky with the growth. People are very happy with the experience that we provide. But right now, I'm at kind of at a crossroads where it's starting to take up enough time in my day to day where it's taking up some
It's a
hours.
lot of work. Yeah.
So right. So I'm trying to figure out, okay, like what's worth my time or what's worth the effort as far as like am I going to sell out every single family ride that I do? Because then I'll do more family rides, right? If it's gonna be, I gotta get I gotta leverage my time as effectively as I can.
Hmm.
But then like I also like doing the harder stuff myself. So like, okay, well I have to throw that in there at some point.
Yeah.
So this year is gonna be a year of a lot of testing, figuring out what we should dedicate our energy to. So we'll do our first like formal workshop in end of March, where it'll be like a 101, like okay, how do you set up the rigging? How do you recover your vehicle with ramps? How like when you're driving, how like what are you actually trying to do? What are you looking at? What are your inputs like? How do you power brake? How do you left foot brake? All that kind of stuff.
Mm.
Uh, and we'll see. If that's a huge success and everybody likes it, we'll do another one. But if 2, 3 people show up and it's a logistical nightmare, we might
Yeah.
have to wait a little while till we try that again.
Yeah.
Yeah. And same thing with like we're gonna actually do some scouting uh beginning of March in Central Florida. We're gonna do a multi-day trip out there, and I don't know if you guys have heard of it. There's a trail that this guy John from Sunshine Adventure Company did called the Florida Adventure Trail.
Okay. I know a
I've never
lot
heard
of
of it.
people have been starting doing these adventure trails, like they're doing their,
Yeah,
their own, BDRs and stuff like that. And yeah.
right. Yeah, so essentially it's that, and it's a great ride. It's a little long, it's I think to do it correctly, it takes about 8 days.
Oh wow.
Mm.
So because it's 1,200 miles.
Jeez. That's a good run.
That's like a
And
Rebel rally right there.
Right? Yeah.
yeah,
Well, that's why like
yeah,
the Pony Express
which
Trail,
probably
that would take you, if you did the whole
yeah,
thing, it takes like a week or so. Yeah.
yeah. Which talking about Rebel, like I love Nina. I think she's a extremely positive force in recreational off-roading.
Hmm.
I think it's awesome everything that she's doing. But can we have like a Red Dude rally? Can it be like
Dude,
one of those just
okay.
for dudes?
All right,
We've
so
been
so
talking
so
about
so
that.
check this
Yeah.
out. Check this out. Okay, you see this beard? You see this beard? Okay, so Opt Off Road, my buddy Jason, he also has a beard, and Jared
Yeah.
has a beard. We were like, what the hell, man? This is like, what's this gender equality stuff? Like,
Yeah.
where's the dude ride, right?
Yeah.
So we were gonna jokingly do the bearded ladies is our new team name. And we're gonna like dress up as women and try to like sneak our way into the Rebel Rally.
Yeah. How dare they assume our gender?
Yeah, right.
Come on. No.
I mean,
We've had a few friends that have
today's-
done the Rebel and stuff, like Jason's wife did the Rebel and stuff.
Yeah,
so,
Jason's wife, Arc Trooper, did
amazing,
it.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and
No,
we're
it's-
jealous,
it's-
like
I mean,
watching them do it, and they're telling us about the adventure and all the stuff they've done and stuff, and they're like, "Man, I want to like, can you just give us like the course because it looks rad?" You know?
So check this
Yeah.
out. So Jason did plot the course on Onyx.
Yeah, because they
And-
followed them.
Yeah, because they don't release it until like before, but it'll be like last year's course basically.
Yeah.
The cool thing is though is that you could be the lady and race and do all the hard work, or you could just kind of follow them, and that's what Jason did with a bunch of the guy friends, all like the husbands and stuff.
Yeah, Brett with
They would just go drive and they'd be
Life
chasing
and-
to him, listen to it live.
Yeah.
I'd actually rather do that.
yeah, you don't have to be studying maps at night. You're just
Like
sit
you
by
get a
campfire.
shower, you get to like
Yeah, I mean, that would be. I mean, it goes back to a thing that I am obsessed with. It's I'm sure you guys are familiar with the Camel Trophy.
Oh,
Yeah,
dude,
that's what got us into it.
I had an
Yeah.
old Land Rover, man. That's like
Yeah,
I
where
had a
started.
disco as well.
Yeah.
There you go. I had a Land Rover at one point, and it seems like we've all learned from our mistakes.
All of them.
No, I haven't.
It's still broken down in my driveway. Don't worry.
Okay, so if you listen to our last episode, when he mentioned the Kalahari might be for sale, I was like, oh really? What?
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Lawrence
That's a
might be
beautiful
selling
setup. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that color is pretty unique. But yeah, I remember as a kid, my dad would mention the Camel Trophy, and I knew what it was vaguely.
Yeah, we
But,
didn't have social
my
media like
wife-
we do now. Yeah.
No. And mind you, like one of the most successful like marketing like projects ever, right? Like if you look at the pictures, every single picture is perfectly framed.
Oh.
You can see the badge on top of the roof rack.
Yeah.
You know, and everything's like every dude's like some manly,
Yeah.
I was about to say
essence
when
of
men were
everything.
men, you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Right. Well, yeah, so I bought the DVDs. I actually had them shipped over from England. I bought the DVDs of each year from
Oh, cool.
91 to 98.
Oh, that's dope.
The old stuff you can still get. There's a couple weird things like the year they did Russia,
Oh.
because it's Russia.
Yeah.
The rights to it are lost to some Russian company that doesn't exist anymore. So you'll never be able to watch it, even though
No.
there was footage. Yeah.
It's just
And then the older stuff was done before Land Rover got it. So like before 90, 81 to 88, that was Land Rover would sell the Land Rovers at cost to
Yep.
Camel.
Yeah,
Yep.
it wasn't done hosted by Land Rover. It was just supplied by.
Yeah. When the Discovery came out, which I think was 91,
Mm.
Mhm.
92, something like that, then they officially became a partner, and that's when the production value went way up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, so just obsessed with that stuff, and then my wife got me the book, I don't know if you saw Nick Dimbleby's Camel Trophy, History of Camel Trophy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's a beautiful book. If you
Yeah.
have a chance to get it, man, I highly recommend it. It's awesome. It's awesome, and it gives you a history. Actually, some random like things that I learned from it was that like apparently Italians were obsessed with Camel Trophy.
Yeah.
Like Italy would get thousands and thousands and thousands of applicants every year that
Oh,
they had to have
really?
like regional tryouts. Yeah, man, it was apparently
wow.
like Italy and France and Spain were like obsessed with this stuff. And actually, they did a lot of testing in Venezuela. And there was one year where they were considering running the first gen Montero, so like 91, 92.
Oh, they're
Hell
rad.
yeah.
And they had Camel Trophy badged Monteros in Venezuela running around.
Really?
Wow.
That'd be
For
cool
testing,
to get
yeah,
one of
so Yeah, I mean, good,
Yeah,
good
right.
luck finding one. But yeah, that'll be a unique piece of history. But yeah, like I think that actually in one of the videos it was hilarious. I was like, man, OSHA would lose their mind. There's a dude
yeah, some of that shit.
barefoot with a chainsaw, cigarette in mouth.
A camel.
chainsaw.
A camel,
camel.
in his lip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course,
Yeah.
a camel, just chopping a tree with his foot on it, barefoot on it, top cut, and there's like three other dudes
Nice.
just standing around, all shirtless, all smoking cigarettes. I was like, yeah, I mean, this is when people were allowed to have fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
You know?
Max Tracks didn't
Yeah.
exist. They just had those aluminum
Those big aluminum-
siding
yeah, yeah.
things they were using.
Yep. Yep, they had those giant metal things, aluminum like perforated hole things with like the dimples.
Yep.
Yeah.
But you know
And
what? We have
but
Dakar
yeah,
now.
It's not the same.
It's not the same.
They're not floating
It's
them down
different.
on logs.
Yeah,
down
but they
rivers.
have
Yeah.
semi trucks that are racing.
I mean, I used to be
that are
obsessed
going
with
like 120.
Yeah, the Dakar was always it was Dakar and the camel, like those were like the big things back then. You know, they didn't have King of the Hammers and all that kind of shit. Or
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, yeah, the Baja.
By the way,
but, yeah.
with King of the Hammers, what's going on? I heard there's people misbehaving.
That's weird. At King of the Hammers?
Never.
No way.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ben,
There
you were out
was,
there. You were just
somebody-
I
out
was there last weekend.
Yeah.
That's how I get the sinus infection, man.
Yeah,
So, did you see the random like fight that broke out with people like in the middle?
Chocolate
What's wrong with
Thunder.
people,
Thunder.
man?
Dude,
I was
Yeah, Chocolate
there.
Thunder, yeah.
Yeah.
I was there.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's the crowd. There's just a bunch of alcohol, and it's just that.
It's
You know,
okay. So,
it's a wild-
I'm surprised. How did you hear about this, by the way? The fight.
It's all over
social
Instagram.
media.
And yeah, it's
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah, because everybody was
I think
filming
it was-
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were
it
about
was
50
Trophy
yards
Bureau.
away. We were about 50 yards away.
Okay.
And, it was at night, Chocolate Thunder, and there was like a bunch of rigs going up. I was actually in Brandon's brother's, YJ, right before we broke his steering
yeah.
because we had to go around this one guy or whatever. And then they said, hit it. And so he hit it, and he broke it. But we winched it back. It was his tie rod, so on a Jeep, I think he has a Dana 30 in the front.
I don't remember. Yeah.
Anyways, he had his huge tie rod, and it's a big bar basically, and it got bent. It tacoed because of the pressure from the rocks because he hit
Right.
it. Well, then he wrapped his winch around underneath his axle as a winch point and pulled it back so it came
Yep.
straight, so it was all good.
Nice.
But we made it up Chocolate Thunder.
Yeah.
But when we were doing that, all of a sudden, like these guys were like arguing because the guy who was supposed to rescue Brandon's brother was coming up, and then he got stuck, and then there was a huge fight that broke out, and it was all kind of our fault in a way.
Oh shit.
At least I want to
no.
take credit
Okay,
for it,
so-
but no, but these guys were all like fighting or whatever, and we were like, what the hell? And it just became one big thing. And then Twig Rig, who's one of our friends,
Adam, yeah.
Adam, he's not Twig Rig anymore. He's Get Their Adventure.
Yeah.
It was me, my buddy Justin, and a few others, and we were like, time to head out. And
Yeah,
so we
it was
started
getting-
walking down Chocolate Thunder because this huge fight was going on. People start throwing rocks. You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's
so
chaos.
I'm
People
out of
shooting
there.
fireworks at people. There's
Yeah, like Roman candle style.
it's just like this valley of boulders, and then people just like everybody's watching the carnage, and people just like set up and start fires in the middle of the rocks and shit, just to like
Oh.
it's
Okay.
madness, but
Yeah.
it's fun, kind of. But
But some of those buggies,
like
they
a
were
great time.
disrespectful. They were like going into the crowd. So it could have been that too, because our guy got stuck and there was a guy going up and around. But I really wasn't paying attention to like what was happening. We were
Yeah.
just trying to fix it, and our guy got stuck over on that side. And then all of a sudden a fight broke out. We're like, what the hell?
yeah, I heard
So, long story short,
Yeah.
it was your fault.
totally.
No, I mean I'm taking
Blame
credit
it.
for it, but hey, no, we were. I wasn't driving. I was double fisting Modelos.
There's like 100,000 people out there, or
and that's
whatever.
exactly what it was.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of people like me. They were,
Yeah, drinking.
See,
and
I'm a
the
happy drunk.
testosterone going, and
Yeah.
it's just things happen, unfortunately.
And it happens every year. I think this is the first time it was
Yeah.
caught on video. It happens every year.
Yeah, there's always some kind of craziness.
Yeah.
Somebody will break something, and somebody will crash into somebody else's truck. You're just going crazy, and then
No, they'll
tempers
crawl
flare.
over your
Oh,
truck
yeah,
if you're in the
drive
way.
right over you.
They'll
yeah.
drive over your fender. They don't care.
Yeah.
They're just
You're in my fucking way. Shouldn't
Yeah.
be here. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I've seen. I don't know who if it's a specific person, but there was one guy. I think the first time I saw King of the Hammers, man, like 10 years ago or whenever it was, that he had basically had like a police siren,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
and it was like, man, I would hate you so much if you do that.
Oh, there
Why
was
would-
so
that's-
much
that's
stuff
so
like that.
obnoxious.
Oh, it's
Oh, they were
yeah.
shooting off
Yeah.
fireworks, and there's my favorite. is
Everybody's
the-
got lasers out.
yeah,
and-
the green lasers. They're
Yeah.
shining in your eyes and stuff. You're like, what are you doing, dude? We're trying to rock crawl here, man.
yeah. It can be.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not. I enjoy. It's an experience.
It's a party
It's a giant
at
party.
night.
Yeah, it's like
Right.
what is it?
Yeah.
Burning Man for off-roaders or something.
Right, basically,
Yeah.
that's what it's turning into. Yeah,
The Burning Man for degenerates. Like that's what we were.
Yeah, pretty much.
yeah.
Yeah. But I
Yeah,
mean, hey,
I
I,
would
still
love
recommend
to-
it. It's a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still want to go and check it out. at some point, hopefully before it gets shut down.
Yeah.
It's growing. It's not going to
But
get shut down. There's too many corporate sponsors behind it.
Yeah,
It'll
too much
get
money
cleaned
in
up.
it now.
I'll tell you this. I've been going for 10 years,
Oh, they got,
since 2014.
Mm-hmm.
And every single year, like back in the Wild West days, back in 2014,
ooh.
there was like nobody. Like you could go out there
yeah.
and just do whatever you want. There was like not that many people.
Yeah,
now it
nobody
becomes
showed
a
up.
city, and every
yeah, I've seen
year, progressively, there's more law enforcement.
Yeah.
So before it was BLM, now there's rangers and there's sheriffs,
Yep.
and there was even CHP on the dirt roads.
Really?
I saw a bunch of CHP and they were pulling people over because technically Boone Road, when
Yeah.
you're going out, monitored by CHP.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, get all the
Sheriffs are
open containers.
Yeah, so basically if you're in county, what happens is whatever county you're in, you have the county sheriffs, right? So the sheriffs are more of like the domestic disturbances and things like that, like the fight that broke out, right? That'd be more of a sheriff issue. If it's on a road, which Boone Road is the main road going into King of the Hammers, that is monitored by CHP.
All right.
So that's why CHP was out there too, and they're in their big vehicles and pulling people over. And then obviously people are drinking, and then there's a lot of driving too. Unfortunately,
Yeah, it's a bad combo.
See, I was riding passenger, and I wasn't drinking while we were driving. We were broken down. I was outside, and I was just kind of drinking. So it's definitely different. But yeah, there's more and more law enforcement every year, so it's getting cleaned up, and people are
Hopefully.
going to be forced to watch themselves.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, there's a big cleanup
hopefully they
going
can
this
find a
weekend.
balance. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that the I don't know if it's that one, but I know the guys from the Gambler were out there at some
Yeah.
point, or are going to be out there.
Yep. Yeah. He was just
Yeah.
posting
Sons of
about that.
Smoky,
Yeah.
all those guys too.
Yeah,
They're friends with the
I have
Gambler
their
guys.
shirt in the closet.
Nice.
Yeah, I like the I like what they're doing. But hopefully they can find a balance between letting people have a good time and
Being safe.
making it a functionable event. Yeah, exactly. Keeping, because all it takes is one guy getting run over or something, and that's the end of that.
Well, right before I will say this, right before the fight broke out, those crawlers, because all of a sudden they'll just hit the gas and they'll be spinning their tires because they're trying to get grip and they're like shifting their tires or whatever. This guy picks up a boulder the size of like that case right there. It was like this massive like boulder, like this big. He shoots it in the air so easily that it looked like just a piece of trash that was like flying in the air like a bag or something. It comes down and this guy and his friend who are standing in the middle of Chocolate Thunder, I don't know why, he grabs him, pulls him over, and then it goes boom, like right near them, and that would have killed him.
Yeah.
Instantly. I'm not even like exaggerating. It would have killed him had that boulder landed on him. And so like
absolutely.
things like that are happening
dangerous,
too.
yeah.
It's like you got to watch yourself, and especially if you're drunk out there spectating. There's guys, those crawlers are going into the crowd too.
Inherent risk, like you see the guys down in Baja 1000 and stuff like that. Like they're literally on the race course, like leaning in, trying to get that photo or whatever, And
WRC, same thing.
people get hit all the time, man. There's a truck coming at you at 80 miles an hour, completely out of control almost,
Yeah.
It's like, you're kind of asking for it, but I
Yeah,
don't know.
it's sketchy, man. It's sketchy, and there's definitely a way to do it safely.
Right.
In regards to, I'll tell you guys another fun story. I think people underestimate a lot of times how hard it is to run a live event of anything.
Oh, you fucking so difficult.
Yeah, I've been very lucky that my wife's, she worked in hospitality for over 10 years,
Nice.
and some of my education was in event management. So I have a little bit of a background, and I was able to, we were able to manage this together. But I remember one time I went to an event, and it was supposed to be essentially like mud drag, so like mud drag racing.
I've seen it.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's fun. And they were letting people do it with their cars, and they had like the 40s and under, 35s and under, etc. They had different categories, and my formal motorsports experience comes from high performance driving experiences, so track days and autocross.
Nice. Hell yeah.
And those events are run very, very strictly,
Oh,
very,
yeah.
very effectively. They tell you check-ins at 9, check-in closes at 10. If you don't get here by 10, you're not racing, right? We got to do tech inspection. We have to do this. We have to do that. Blah blah blah. We walk the course at this time. So I show up. They say be there at 9. I show up at 9. The vendors are still setting up.
Of course. Yeah.
Vendors are setting up, and there's one guy out there with a tractor flattening out the straight that we're using, And I go, hey, I check in, and the guy doesn't even give me a wristband, nothing. And I go, where's the holding area? And he goes, what is that?
You're
And I go, well,
like,
I'm a
this is gonna be
competitor.
good.
Yeah. I tell him I'm a competitor. Where do I go? He's like, just park wherever you want.
Okay.
And I go, ooh, okay. And then, man, the guys didn't even have radios. They had to like yell at each other from like down the field, like, hey, this
Hey,
guy's
Jim
coming.
Bob. Hey, Billy.
Exactly. So then it's at an old motocross park that this guy has owned forever. I remember being a kid and going out there, and it was the same dude. So he rents it out, and um, needless to say, I think the first car was on the track at 3 or 4 o'clock.
Wow, that's a
And
late
A
yeah,
start.
little late. Yeah.
it was bad. Dude, they were letting people register like as the brackets were going. So like if for example, let's say your
Oh,
bracket was 33 and under,
yeah.
they were like, "Oh, you want to race? Go ahead, sign up, sign the waiver, like
No
pay me."
way. Shit.
Yeah.
Oh, they had waivers at
So
least.
Oh, okay.
yeah. So when I see all that, I was like, "Man, I'm not getting in there. I'm not.
That sounds.
This is not well run." Yeah. So then it was sponsored by some sort of stereo company. I don't even remember the name of it, but
Mike's Mega
the
Speakers.
Yeah.
it's like these guys will come out with like the entire back of the SUVs all speakers.
Yeah.
They had like 3 of those.
Yeah.
Yep, and they parked them on the hill overlooking the straight of the motocross track, which they were using to do the drag races. And so the actual track, and this is when I said I'm not doing this. The track barricade was those flags that they put in like the swimming pool so you can tell when the wall's coming.
Yeah.
Those little triangles. So that was the
The
barricade
barricade.
between people. Yeah, between people and the cars.
Oh, wow.
It's like, man, I'm not this. You lose control. You're killing somebody.
Yeah, it's sketchy.
Easy,
I don't want to be liable for
Hey,
this shit.
hey, King of the Hammers, there are no flags.
Yeah, you don't
you
get
just
that.
stand there.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So I see that and I go, okay, that's not good. And then I see that the the barricade between the two cars, I'm not kidding, is a little pile of dirt about half a foot tall.
Huh.
And there's no shoulder, so you can completely go off track. Nothing happens, right? There's nothing to stop you. And so at that point, I see all these things and I go, man, I'm just watching today. I'm not doing this.
I'll be a spectator.
Run, yeah, run into some friends. Things go all right. And it was just such a crap show, man. At one point, one of the cars has an issue, and someone decides the car gets stuck for some reason, and someone decides that they're going to pull their truck into the track to tow them out because it was their friend.
During a race.
During the race.
Right. So this dude does this, and I guess somebody didn't like how close the guy drove up to like their kid or their wife or something. Guy goes up to the guy who was doing this, pulls him out of the car, starts hitting him, starts punching him, right?
Yeah.
And then that guy is obviously, I mean, he was in the wrong for doing that, but you also should not be assaulted for doing
Right.
that. So then he goes up to the organizer and he goes, "Hey man, I just got assaulted. Like this dude just tried to beat the crap out of me. He like dented my hood. Like what's going on?" And he was like, "Well, he basically told him along the lines of, well, maybe if you weren't such a little bitch, you wouldn't have gotten beat up."
No way, really?
And we're just looking at each other because I was, I've been around long enough where I kind of know all the shops and stuff, and I was like, is this real life? Am I dreaming right now?
Seriously.
Yeah.
Wow.
So then it was so crazy, man. So that happens, and at another point, the paramedics that were on standby, they're like, "Hey, man, we got paid for this many hours. We're going." And they're like, "No, stay. We'll give you more money, whatever." So they stay, and I see this old man in the back, the owner of the track, just like his hair is getting progressively grayer as the day goes on, like just stressed out. Yeah.
You're like, what did I
And-
do?
Yeah.
Right. Well, they're not. I can guarantee you, they're never hosting that event there
I was
again.
gonna
That
say,
organizer is not good. Yeah.
Has there been multiple that a reoccurring event, or is that the last and only?
And yeah, that event essentially is one and done no matter where they go.
I was going to say the first and final
Yeah.
event.
Yeah, grand opening, grand closing.
Yeah.
And so I left because it was starting to get dark, and I was like, man, if this stuff is sketchy during the day, I don't want to see it at night.
For real, holy shit.
That's when the party
At-
starts.
At a
Yeah.
certain point, at a certain point, I guess the paramedics are like, all right, we're leaving.
Yeah,
Doesn't
this is a
matter how
shit
much you pay
show.
us.
Yeah.
So they're like, all right, in this bracket, this guy won. In this bracket, this guy won, and et cetera, et cetera. And conveniently, it was the people who were sponsoring the event.
Oh yeah, of course. All
Ah!
their buddies or all the people paying
Yeah,
money, they happen to win.
exactly.
Weird. Yeah.
Yeah, good
We used
job. You're
to.
the tallest midget in the circus.
Yeah.
Yeah, we knew all about
Yeah.
that.
We've experienced that before with some.
So
Oh yeah?
Jared, yeah, we
Well,
won't get really deep into it, but
we
I'll
don't
just
need to
give
get
you
into
the
that too
high
much.
level. It's basically the same thing. So basically, we went to events. There were a competitive event,
Mm-hmm.
and we were on a team. That's actually how I met this guy.
Yeah.
And we would
Okay.
smoke everybody. We'd smoke. It wasn't even close.
even
It was
close.
embarrassing how good we were. In
Like other
comparison.
teams would come up to us like, "Holy shit, dude, you guys fucking
Yeah,
killed it!"
like the other teams were like, "Oh my god, like how did you not win?"
yeah, like you got all the fucking points. Like I don't understand, but the people who would win the event were the biggest sponsor of the event.
The highest paid sponsor,
Oh.
all of a sudden that team somehow won, and they wouldn't show. We're like, "Can you show us the scoring sheets?" And they wouldn't show them to us.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
And we
that's
called
messed
them out
up.
online,
So-
and then the organizer hit me up, and he's like, "Hey man, you shouldn't be talking shit." I'm like, "Dude, well, give me my trophy."
exactly, dude.
Well, you assume that when you participate in an event, that there's going to be an honest result,
Yeah,
right?
fair across the board. Even playing field. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
So I'm assuming this was some sort of off-road, like obstacle course or something.
No,
no. This is
previous
more
life.
military simulation stuff.
Yeah, we're shooting and
Oh,
stuff.
okay. So like run and gun stuff.
Yeah. It was timed. There
Okay.
was objectives. There was things.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So in fact, so like when we do the challenge rides, we always do an optional competitive loop of something. So it's for example, when the one we're doing in a couple of weeks, it'll be essentially like a figure eight in a mud bog around, and we're gonna put the cones out and have a timer and the whole thing.
Cool.
You
And,
know, you
whoever
put the
wins
little
gets a little-
triangles rope out.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll put some of that out where the people are just gonna be standing.
Yeah, wherever the people are. Yeah.
Uh,
To protect them.
Yeah. Just
For
have
your
them hold it.
safety.
Just have them
Yeah.
hold it,
Yeah,
actually.
them hold
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. No EMTs.
No.
None at all.
No. We don't need that. We're men.
Yeah.
So
Rub some dirt on it.
Camel cigarettes only.
Yeah.
exactly, basically. So we're gonna do an optional like competitive loop, and you just get a little trophy that one of the guys who's a fabricator is gonna make for us.
Cool.
But like people are like, oh, well, like, are you gonna participate? And I was like, I can't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Wouldn't be fair.
like I'm running the event.
Yeah.
Like I can't. It would be a huge conflict of interest.
You're right.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to. Yes, I mean, I'll do the loop, but like my time doesn't matter. I'm not
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
win. Like it's irrelevant. And I think that's a big part of, like you were saying, is you gotta when you're the organizer of these things, when you're running a club, unfortunately you have to remove yourself a little bit, and it kind of becomes work, right? It is
Oh,
when I'm
100%.
out there taking, when I have 50 people behind me between kids and parents, I'm working.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm having a great time, but I'm working.
Yeah. It's
Hey, your
fun.
name's on it.
Yeah, you're enjoying it, but you have to work. You have to be coherent the whole time and paying attention. You can't be
Yeah.
goofing off the whole time.
Yeah. There's another. I'll send you the actual name afterwards, so you guys can look it up. There's some pretty fun competitions
Cool.
here in Florida. But it's happened, man. Where like some of these organizers, at the end of the day, it's like these guys are wasted. It's like, dude, like you're running this.
Yeah,
Like, what's good? What are you gonna do? You're completely drunk. What if someone like gets stung by a bee and they're allergic?
Something simple. Yeah,
Like, are you in a state where you can actually respond to that?
probably not. Yeah.
No. And it's the precedent you set, but what this whole roundabout way is to get into what I wanted to say, which is that my long-term goal, what I would like to do, let's call it pie in the sky, is essentially our own version of it'll never be that big corporate wise, but something like the Camel Trophy, where it's a multi-day trip, and then there'll be optional challenges within the trip.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
That's what I want to do
Like
long
bonus
term.
points.
Yeah.
Exactly. So like everybody's going there together. Everybody's going, and that was kind of like how the Camel Trophy was, where like the guys went out there together as a group, and then you would do special challenges that would accumulate points.
Yeah, have like one.
Yeah, Rebel Rally has that too. They have points days, they have travel days, they have all that stuff. Time
like
days.
this day will be like a recovery, like how quickly you can, winch or something, or get your winch
Exactly.
line out and do whatever you got to do or something. Yeah, how quick you
Right.
can set up your rooftop tent.
How
Time
quick you can
trial.
get the how quick you can get the scuttle going.
Yeah. How quick can you set up your scuttle and yeah.
Yeah.
We did
So, and
a food
that's
competition, and
Yeah.
that was incredibly stressful for us because like
That was
Oh,
Little
yeah,
Smoky's camp out.
yeah, we had a weekend camp out with everybody, and it was gonna be a cooking competition, and like
That was hard because like
it was fucking hard.
we were arguing like the different judges, which is myself, Jared, and Chef Sean, because he's a professional
Butter,
chef.
yeah.
Somebody's got to do something,
Okay.
And
Right.
we were arguing. We're like, no, that was my favorite. It was all subjective, obviously, but it's like everybody made so many good dishes, and it was like hard to choose one, and then you feel
nice.
bad, So it's like,
And you want everybody to have a good time, so you're like, even just leading up to it, like 5 minutes before the event was supposed to start, we were beyond stressed out. Like we didn't, like,
Oh,
is
yeah,
the campground gonna be right, or is everybody gonna have a good time, or is everybody gonna get along? Because you're bringing
gotta be working.
together all these different people who have never met before, and like who knows,
Right.
and yeah, it's like you're hosting events is a lot of freaking
Yeah.
work, man.
Yeah, and my fear whenever I'm doing the event is like, oh my God, people think this event, like people are gonna say this event is terrible. They're
sucks,
gonna
and
have a
this-
terrible time.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people have a blast usually.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
you just pray
And
something doesn't go
I
down,
think-
so you have like liability issues.
Yeah,
and-
somebody gets hurt or yeah.
Right. And that's the from there. I don't know if you've ever seen like the all the studies and stuff that show that like the doctors that get sued are not the bad doctors, it's the doctors that are unlikable.
Yeah, yeah, exactly right.
So, and I was, because of my experience in health and wellness, um, I've noticed that it's really a lot about how you present yourself. Like if you're amicable, if you're open, if you really do show that you did everything you could have to help, most people are not gonna go after you. Most
No,
people,
no.
and if they were gonna go after you for anything. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can't help it. Yeah,
You're
but
screwed
if
anyways.
you're some cocky asshole or something like that, and you're,
yeah,
then people are like, all right, well, fuck this guy,
So we got to make sure you have a
Yeah.
good lawyer.
and right, you gotta have a good lawyer on retainer, an
Yeah.
off-roading lawyer.
Good
Yeah.
luck.
There's probably someone with an Instagram handle at off-roading lawyer.
Oh yeah, there's the
Oh, dude.
Overland lawyer for
Oh,
sure.
I can't look for it. It's on my phone.
For sure. Yeah.
Do you do any
The-
for your events? Like, do you do any kind of like vetting? Like, so we have our friends. They do this thing called Ladies Night Camp Out, and in order to go along on these camp outs, you have to submit a video of yourself like changing a tire, or they have
Oh, wow.
specific requirements. Like, you got to be
Self-sufficient.
self-sufficient. Like, do you have this
pretty
gear? Do you have
legit,
this?
yeah.
So it's like they submit a video of themselves. Like, look at, here's me. I can change my own tire. I know how to put my vehicle in 4-wheel drive. Stuff like
Right.
that. Some
And
of the
they've
basics
run into
usually.
some issues.
Mhm.
Some that were just
Right.
like you couldn't have guessed it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like with Danielle, she had a Jeep Rubicon, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And she was driving away out, and she lost a bolt out of her rear suspension,
Mm-hmm.
like the shock. And so they were like, she's broken down or whatever. And so then they had to like put like an Allen wrench and duct tape it all in, like
Yeah,
they
Jared
MacGyvered
rig
it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and then right after that, the girl's fuel pump went out, and so that's
Yeah, you never know what's
you
going to
never
happen.
know what's going to
But
happen.
You gotta be
You
prepared.
gotta be
and-
No,
prepared.
and you can't prepare for everything. You could
Oh,
only
yeah,
have
yeah.
a system to assess with. Yeah. Actually, I don't know if you guys can. It's almost gone there on my forearm. That's an exhaust burn
Oh.
mark because on
Nice.
the very first trip we did, actually, I had an Xterra that I sold to a good friend of mine, and he was on the trip. And the bushing for the shifter popped out, like the actual plastic broke,
Hmm.
and the eyelet popped off of the selector. So, he puts it in park and turns the car off, and when he tries to turn it back on, the car can't tell that it's in park, right? It thinks that it's in
Yeah.
drive,
Yep, yep.
so it
Won't
wouldn't
start.
even crank. And he radios me from the back of the group, and he goes, "Hey man, I'm having this issue." And I get back over there, stick my head under the truck, and I go, "Well, I don't know which piece of the shifter is park." So I'm like, "Don't run me over. Stand on the brake. Tell me what the gear selector is saying."
Right.
So I stuck my hand through the thing, and that's when I burnt it because I was actually trying to disconnect the transfer case, and
Oh,
there's
you're
a piece of the
reaching up
cross
in there.
of
Yeah.
yeah, And the four-wheel drive was freaking out. All of the drivetrain stuff was freaking out. So I basically just like pulled on the shifter until I got to park, until I got to drive. Until I got to park, I told him, turn the car on. Okay, I'm gonna tell me when it's in drive. Okay, let's get out of here. So we got off the trail, we got
Right.
to a gas station, and then we got to taking apart his dash until we were able to get to the shifter, and then I just zip tied it in place for him. Like, all right, you're gonna get home and order this shit, and then we'll fix it when it gets home, when it gets to your
Yeah.
house.
Yeah, you got a Band-Aid on it. You'll
Which,
get, yeah.
That's why you don't sell vehicles
limp it off
that
the
you've
trail.
owned to your friends. You just go, hey, if it
Yeah,
breaks,
well,
good
Sorry.
luck.
Yeah.
yeah. We were joking, man, because it's like, man, you basically have warranty for life, you know? Like anything that breaks, you could be like, hey, did this ever happen to you? I'm like, oh, shit, okay, I'll help you.
Well, yeah. I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, exactly. But so, yeah, no, absolutely. You guys are right in that you never know what you're going to get. And so we do, for our day trips, we do tech inspection,
Mhm.
where when you check in, you get a little packet that has like the itinerary and the map, and sometimes we'll give you a club sticker. And so what you do is we put a little sticker on the driver's side windshield at the top, and that just means you pass tech.
Okay. Yeah.
So someone comes around, make sure you have recovery points, looks under the car, make sure nothing is leaking, nothing looks like it's obviously loose.
About to break.
We
Yeah.
pop we pop the engine bay, make sure the battery's tied down, all the basic stuff that you would check. And then you get your little sticker, and then that way when we're rolling out, or like when we do a last call, I can check, okay, every car has a sticker on it, we're good to go.
You're
And
formal.
I'll have
Yeah, it's actually pretty
Yeah,
good.
man,
it's a great idea.
yeah, that's so I learned all that stuff from the performance driving stuff from
Yeah, the
especially the
autocross.
autocross. They're super
Yeah,
intense
they're
about
anal.
that stuff. Yep. Actually, I've seen a wheel fall off at like in person. I've seen a wheel fall off at an autocross track and like go
Ooh,
flying
shit.
across the parking
Oh,
lot.
jeez.
Yeah, that's a
Lug
lawsuit waiting to
nuts.
happen.
Yeah.
Yep. And it's funny because one of the things you do in tech is you're supposed to show like that your lug nuts are tight. You're supposed to kind
Yeah,
of crank
torque it.
on them in front of the. I guess somebody got a little distracted.
I mean, I've lost wheels before.
But
You have?
not a good feeling.
I've literally been going down
Not
the
a
sand
good.
highway in Glamis, and all of a sudden I look and I see my fucking wheel flying past me. I'm like, how the fuck? And like my fucking whole front end dives into the sand. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's a scary feeling.
Yeah.
I actually so with my first, only, and last Land Rover that I owned, I when I picked it, I bought a used. When I picked it up, I was like, man, like there's some weird chirping noise, and when I press the brake pedal, it stops. Like I gotta check it out. So we went and did some trails, came back, 2 hours on the highway, get off the highway, driving down the road to my house. Uh, the caliper bolt had fallen off of one end, so
Oh.
the caliper was on
Just
basically it was on a
hanging there.
hinge,
Yeah.
and the forward rotation, because the caliper was like pushed out, it wasn't pushing it back in,
Oh, okay.
right?
Yeah.
So that ground on the wheel, and eventually I heard like a bang, and I heard like the tire hissing, and I was like, oh man, I probably um, like debeated the tire because it got deformed or something because it was going flat. Um, so I put it on a flatbed, get it home, and on the way off the flatbed, when the guy's reversing it off the thing, the rotation and reverse of the wheel pushed the caliper back in. So I looked up the size of the bolt, went to the auto zone, bought the bolt, stuck it back in, and I said, all right, let me rebead the tire. I jack the truck up, do the typical like spray thing, light it,
Oh, nice.
nothing happens. The tire doesn't even move. That's weird.
Hmm.
So the caliper actually punched a hole through the wheel. There was a hole about the size
Oh,
of
shit.
of a baseball. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
geez, a
So
big hole.
And you didn't see it?
yeah, so no, because I looked at it from the outside. It was on like it was
Oh,
on
okay.
the
Yeah.
inside of the wheel.
Got it.
And so I stick my head in, and I was like, okay, well now I know why I didn't reseat.
Yeah, it's not old there.
Yeah, that Land Rover, man, unfortunately, was at the sweet spot at the cross section between still being expensive enough that you have to finance it,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
old enough that it started falling apart.
Was it an LR3 or 4?
A four, yeah. It
Yeah.
was the last four with the 5-liter V8, and it had the rear diff lock, and it was
Nice.
white exterior, black interior. No, I mean, look, man, best car I've owned and car I've hated the most.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a love-hate relationship, 100%. Yeah.
Every time that I went out to off-road to do trails, something would go wrong.
Oh, yeah.
Every time.
Sounds like my Mini
Every
Cooper.
time.
Yeah, it's just kind of
That's another.
inevitable. Something's gonna break. You're gonna have some kind of issue, but yeah, I
Yep,
always got
that's another feat of.
I almost always got home.
No, it only left me stranded one time that I killed the starter, and then the starter that they sold me was a dud,
Mm.
and it only lasted like 2 months. But I was in like in a covered parking lot, and it didn't want to start, and so they had to get a flatbed. It was a whole thing. Um, but it just became kind of like an anxiety thing. It's like, all right, what's gonna go wrong this time?
Yeah, especially
Yeah, you
And
can't
then a couple
trust
things
it.
happen.
yeah, you're going out
Right,
further and further, and now it's like,
right,
yeah.
yeah. But as far as capability
Oh,
and and confidence during driving, nothing compares. Like
oh yeah.
nothing compares.
Throw it in
Yeah,
anything,
it's
not worried
really is
about it.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. If I could eventually, I would like to own another one because I hate myself. And
You like the
and
abuse.
yeah, I just it's like that joke with like the like a girlfriend, like a crazy girl. It's like I can fix her.
I
I know
can
I can
fix
fix
her.
her.
Totally.
No, you can't.
No, you
No, you
can't.
can't. Just, yeah, save your time. Actually, when I got rid of that one, I actually wanted to get a Bronco.
A
Uh,
newer Bronco
but
or
it
an
was
older?
yeah, like a one of the 2021s.
Okay.
And man, holy crap, those things are overpriced.
Oh,
Oh,
100%, dude.
Jesus. Yeah.
Yo, I was looking at a ZR2 today, a 2023 ZR2,
Huh?
70 grand.
Fuck that, dude.
I'm like,
Holy,
what?
that's
I paid
crazy.
49 out the door for mine with a warranty.
Even that's a lot of fucking
Yeah,
money, dude. I can't. No.
yeah,
Yeah, but
yeah. So
70
I
That's
ended
for
up
a
crazy.
little compact truck?
Everything's
yeah,
overpriced nowadays.
yeah. No, it's I think that a lot of the manufacturers took advantage of all of the either real or perceived shortages that happened during
Yeah, the
2020,
chip
Yeah.
and they're like, all
shortages.
right, this way is the way the price is going, right? It's going up,
Yeah, if you're trying to buy a
and
Bronco in 2021, especially when they first came out, like
oh, good
the
luck.
prices were astronomical, dude. Like,
Yeah,
they would buy them back from people who ordered them, pre-ordered them for more than what they actually
Yeah.
purchased them for, because they knew they would get
yep,
they could sell them for like ridiculous prices. People were paying like 100 grand for
yeah,
Broncos and shit,
yep,
dude. It's,
yep. They paid 100 grand for a Ford SUV.
yeah,
Uh,
fucking crazy, dude.
Dude, I remember when
yeah.
100 grand was
Uh,
like a Rolls Royce,
That was a
dude.
lot of
Like,
money,
you're
dude.
like, wait, what?
Holy
Dude,
shit, yeah.
so as a kid, I remember like as a teenager, as a kid, I remember like an H2 was 50 grand.
Yeah, and that was like a lot.
And like yeah, and if you had an H2, it's like, man, that guy, they're doing all right.
Ballin'.
Yep.
Yeah, a Range Rover, I remember as a kid was like 50 grand. Like Land Cruiser Range Rover H2, that was like the top of the
Yeah,
line. Like
that's
if you
like
had
some
one of those,
luxury ass shit, yeah.
right. Yeah. And now it's those things start at 100.
Yeah. Your
Yeah.
basic,
Yeah.
bottom of the line pickup truck nowadays, just like a basic Tacoma, Ford Ranger, they're like almost 50. It's like,
Well, here's what I
Yep.
will say, dude. Okay. Stupid Ben opened up his internet browser.
oh
Okay.
no. Doing some
And
shopping.
I did some shopping because, okay, it was actually Facebook. So they hit me with those ads and they know I'm a sucker.
Yeah.
And so, like, the local dealership in outside of LA, I think it was like Van Nuys or something like that. It hadn't even hit their lot yet. It was like on order and it was in transit, is what it was labeled as. But it's the new Ford Ranger Raptor.
Oh yeah, those are sweet.
And I was like, oh,
That's nice.
yeah. And I was like, oh, I wonder how much this is because it's like a competitor to a ZR2, right? And I opened it up and it said it was 55. I was like, well, what?
What? No way.
I was like, no way. And the dealer's like, no markup, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, bullshit. You're marking up this
As soon as you
Ranger
get down
Raptor.
there,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because I was like really jonesing for one because like my ZR2 has the V6 and it has like 310 horsepower. The Ranger Raptor is a twin turbo V6. It's a 3-liter V6
Yep.
and it has
They're
405. And I was like,
Yep.
with the Fox 2.5s, I was like, rear locking diff.
And you have leaves in the back, right?
Yes, sir. Those are coils
Yeah. That's a coilover in the back. Yep.
on the Rangers.
on the
Yeah,
Ranger
yeah.
Raptor. Yeah,
The Ranger Raptor, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
and I'm like
And
55.
look,
I'm
man,
like,
That's tempting.
well, so for the price of one Bronco, what I ended up doing is I bought my Ranger, which is, the FX4, not the top of the line one, but it has the diff log, terrain management, all that stuff. And I
4-cylinder
bought my
turbo.
wife.
Yeah.
It scoots, man. It moves pretty good. I compared that one, the Tacoma, and the Gladiator and the ZR2, and people love Jeeps, and I drove that thing on the highway, and I was like, "Is there something wrong with the car?" And they're like, "No, no, this is just like it's
It's a
really,
Jeep thing. It's a Jeep thing.
yeah." He's like, "It's." I was like, "Oh, right, because this thing is very square, solid axle." I was like, "There's something wrong with this car." Um, so that was my experience with the Gladiator. I was like, "I can't do this. I can't drive this every day."
Yeah, not for a daily.
The ZR2 was really nice. Those are really nice trucks. Um, I just don't like the styling of them exteriorly. I don't think it's ugly. It's not for me.
Yeah, everybody has their
And the
own preference.
Tacoma,
That's
yeah.
okay. I think the Ranger's ugly. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
I like the style. I like the style, but
Yeah.
I know it's not for everybody.
Yeah.
I think the new one looks too much like a tiny F-150.
It does. I don't like the new one. Mine's a 21.
Yeah.
So I have the facelift
Okay.
version, so I have the better looking front end because I hate the Chevy bow tie. It's so ugly.
Yeah.
And then they put it in the rear
Yeah.
on the tailgate. Like the one I have, my tailgate, it says Chevrolet and it's like very subtle. It's like the
Yeah.
stamped. And then mine doesn't have a huge bow tie in the front. So I'm like at least happy about that because I'm embarrassed to drive a Chevy,
Yeah, okay,
but
so
whatever.
better styling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so in Venezuela, where I'm from, there was a Toyota assembly plant. So
Oh.
Toyota is a huge player in that market.
Yeah, they
Once
get all
upon
the
a time,
cool shit down
unfortunately,
there. Yeah.
yeah. Once upon a time, it was a very economically prosperous country. Not
Oh,
anymore.
yeah.
But so outside of America, the place that bought the most Ford F-150s was Venezuela. Once upon a time.
Oh wow.
And so they were kind of the number two, but there's a meme amongst Hispanic off-roaders, and it's that it's a silly phrase, but it's like Toyota's Toyota, like that's what it's the end all be all, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
So I going from that culture to like buying a Ford, I was like, ugh. But honestly, man, I love the truck. It's got great power. It gets very good gas mileage. It has all the off-road kind of add-ons that I wanted. The Tacoma felt absolutely gutless.
Yep.
It had no power.
It's the transmission. That's
Yeah.
why. It's a good motor. It's
Yep.
It's a Camry.
Yeah, it's a reliable vehicle,
Yeah.
but it's just underpowered. Yeah.
Yep. And I'm not super tall, but I'm also not I'm about 6'1", and I just felt like I was sitting in a
You got to be
Miata,
6'1" in
'cause, like,
Miami, dude. Otherwise, you're not gonna get a girl.
Yeah. Well, my wife says that if I was under 6 feet, she wouldn't have dated me.
I
so
know.
there you
Yeah,
go.
no, it's a thing, dude.
Right,
It's a
right.
thing. I'd be
Yeah.
wifeless.
So with
I'd
the-
have the sickest Raptor right now if I was in Miami. No, just kidding.
Hey, give and take, right? Give and take.
Yeah.
Yeah, the seating
the
in the
seat, I know
Tacomas
that-
is tough. I'm 6 foot, and
Yeah.
our buddy had a Tacoma, and when I was sitting there, like it was just hard. It was not comfortable. You gotta get those seat
Uncomfortable. Yeah,
lifters
it's
and stuff, and
Yeah. Yeah, I felt like the seat was like sloping down in the front. It
Yeah.
was
Yep.
not comfortable at all. So, I settled on the Ranger, and it does everything I wanted to for a price that I thought was reasonable. And with the money I had left over, I actually ended up buying my wife an Armada. I used one, but an
All right.
Armada.
hell yeah.
Nice.
That'll get some tires and a lift and all that eventually. But
Oh yeah,
gotta
can't leave it
finish
alone.
together the-
It's a
I know you
Titan.
can't. And
Yeah,
yeah, essentially it's Titan. If you end up swapping out the front diff, that's really all you need to do because it brings the smaller of the two diffs that Nissan makes.
hmm
But it's a great truck, man. I mean, we drove it the other month up to Central Florida to Legoland,
Oh,
and it's like a 3-hour drive. I think it's so comfortable, man.
yeah, big
It's
ass.
comfortable, big wide truck. Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's a Titan, but it's got a trunk.
Yeah, man.
So yeah, I was able to
Did it
get-
have the captain's chairs for the back seat, or do you have the bench back seat?
Yep.
The captain's
No, I
chair
have the
back
captain's
seat.
chairs.
Yeah, those are
Yeah.
sick. I looked at
Miami, bro.
well, no, I looked at an Armada before, and like I like the idea of like you can either your back seat can be like your typical bench, but they have like really like a captain seats with like a center console and everything for the rear seat and stuff.
Yeah.
They're freaking rad.
Super comfy, man.
Yeah.
My daughter rides in style back there.
Oh yeah.
You have one kid and you
but
have a
anyway.
3-row SUV.
Yeah, no, that's the typical thing, all right? You get your first kid, and you're like, all right, I need a giant
biggest-
SUV for all these
yeah.
kids I'm gonna have.
Yeah.
And all their friends
then
and gear you
yeah.
got to carry. Yeah.
Yeah, Yeah, but yeah, so I was able to get the Ranger and the Armada essentially for the same that I would have been paying for one Bronco. I was like, all right, well, there's no way I'm buying that. And look, I
Yeah,
mean,
made the
I
right
think
choice.
the Bronco, yeah, exactly. The Bronco is, I think, it seems to be a very good vehicle. I see a lot of them on the trail, and I know people make fun of the tie rods and all that stuff, but they seem to be good trucks overall.
Yeah, they're pretty solid. I
Yeah,
mean,
you do
but
some
like,
basic things to them, and they're amazing.
yeah, yeah, oh,
Yeah,
yeah. Off Road, they have one.
Yeah, that's what they race the Rebel in.
Yeah,
Is their Bronco.
yeah. But
yeah,
like you said, like for the
yeah.
price point, like for the amount of money you spent on that, you can get a lower price point vehicle and like a more entry level vehicle and upgrade it to that point. With the money you saved.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I would like to eventually own one, a two-door kind of base Sasquatch. I would like to own one at some point, but it's just not worth it, man. It's such a huge amount of money. And so the area that I work in South Florida, it's in Miami. It's called Coconut Grove. It's a very very wealthy area. It's a very touristy area.
Hmm.
If you ever heard someone talk about Coco Walk, that's where it is.
Okay.
And it's kind of funny because I think it has the highest concentration of Bronco Raptors in the country.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it.
Dude,
I
I'm
see
And you
sorry.
probably never
I'm
see the
sorry.
dirt, but
I drove the Bronco Raptor because just like a couple weeks ago, actually, I was not impressed.
Okay.
really,
I like Off Road, what they did with the Badlands or Sasquatch. No, they got the Sasquatch. Hey, it was the top of the line right below a Bronco Raptor. But they, did the BMF, lower control arms, upper control arms, and they put, the Radflow shocks on it with the Resis. That thing outperforms the Raptor, dude.
yeah.
Yeah,
You're paying a
Yeah,
lot of
it's
extra premium just for the badging, I think.
and plus those fenders,
Yeah.
The fenders are silly looking.
Oh my God, they're terrible. They
Stupid.
look so freaking ugly. Yeah, no, the
I mean,
fenders
the
are hideous.
Mercedes gets away with it with their their 4x4 square just because it's like on portals and looks ridiculous. It's Mercedes,
Already, yeah.
but come on, Ford.
Yeah, yeah. You're paying 120, 150 grand for a Ford.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just that's a tough pill to swallow.
Is
But
it
yeah,
even
the
a box
area,
frame? I mean,
I don't know.
I don't know. Actually, that's a good
Yeah,
question.
yeah.
Because I know it's a weird kind of like Frankenstein between the stuff that's on the new Ranger and the stuff that's on the Bronco, which is from the old Ranger. It's like a weird kind of in between.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. So yeah, I see one. I'm not kidding. Every day I see one on the way to work, and also um, a lot of Rivians, which those things are pretty badass. I know you've seen one in person.
oh yeah,
I've
we
seen
see them every day.
Yeah, there's a lot of them out here. I've
Yeah.
seen a few out on the trail. Not
Yeah.
not too many, but I've seen people deck them out a little bit.
Did you see the new Cybertruck at King of the Hammers? Got wrecked.
Dude, that thing got jacked, dude. Yep. All-wheel
What happened? What was-
all-wheel
what was it trying to do?
steering is not what
All-wheel steering is not where it's at, guys.
no.
Because you have you basically have like tie rod ends and shit. Just like you have a front IFS, you have it in the rear too, essentially, because you're steering,
Right.
right? Well, the guys were doing donuts out there in the soft dirt and
silly.
everything. They were getting silly. They were driving a truck like you normally would do
Yeah,
a ZR2 or a
yeah.
Ranger, you know?
Right.
And the guy just like totally broke it.
It's a heavy
in the
fucking
it's
truck.
it's like 10 million pounds, dude.
It's something ridiculous.
And,
yeah.
and he was drifting it
Roughly,
around,
yeah.
and it got a little grip, and it just snapped it, and then there goes his wheel and his whole rear suspension.
And then, yeah, getting parts, it's not like you can
Ouch.
find like Tacoma parts easily. You're not going, what do you do when that thing
You can't go to Landers and get a Cybertruck fucking control arm,
yeah,
dude. Like you're
good
not
luck,
getting
yeah.
that.
No.
Well, that's what happened to the guy with the Rivian. I don't know if you saw it was going around the internet that a guy with a Rivian got rear-ended, and it took him like I think it was like 6 months because there was no parts for it. Like they
Yeah.
couldn't even repair it, and it was like 6 months and like $60,000, some insane amount.
Damn.
Yeah. But yeah, like you said, the increased complexity always adds more failure points, right?
Yeah.
The more complicated it is, the more things that can go wrong. I mean, talking from experience with Land Rover. But I think the way that the Bronco has that stuff where like I don't know what the marketing term is, but essentially they can create like a front dig where they'll clamp the rear brakes.
Yeah, and they can like
Oh, it's
basically
based
just
off of
spin on
ABS.
a
Yeah.
dime basically. You have like
Yeah.
I can't remember what it's called.
It was like a it's kind of like the crab walk that the Hummer has.
Yeah, we went up
but it
that
has
one-
like the
Yeah.
it's like a pivot mode. Basically.
Yeah, pivot mode. Like
It
that
just
guy at
pivots around.
the Olaf event we went
Yeah,
to.
Nick.
Yeah,
he was the
had
peak
one.
suspension guy.
Yeah,
Yeah, he has a ZR2 as well.
Yeah, he was playing with it, and it's like, oh shit, that's rad. But like, yeah, I
Yeah,
don't know
we're
what
gonna
you're-
we're gonna get lit up by all the Bronco owners.
Yeah, they're gonna fucking blast it.
this.
All right.
Sorry.
Give me a second, guys. I'm gonna grab my computer charger. I'll be right back. Give me
Oh,
one second.
he's
No,
about to
you're
die,
good. You're good. Ah, don't die.
No, I won't.
yeah.
Well, he's doing that. I'm gonna grab a snack.
A snacky snack.
I brought a lunch box.
You got your lunch. Nice.
It's actually my lunch from yesterday. And then we decided to go to Sugarfish. So I had like sushi out in Calabasas. I got Doritos.
Oh, what do you got up in there?
Cool
dude?
Ranch.
Got some
Oh,
cool-
dude, she sliced me up some apples.
You got an apple. Well, you got a healthier lunch.
Oh yeah, with some Jif, dude.
Ooh, to dip the apples in. I like it. I like
Peanut
it.
butter dip. Oh yeah, baby. Oh, I got sandwich on
Damn.
sourdough.
The fuck,
I
man.
got I got some liquid death, baby. I got some water for you. There you
Oh,
go.
nice. There you go.
Yeah.
That's good. Some hydration.
Yes.
Yeah, I even have these heavenly hunks. The minis are organic oatmeal dark chocolate. They're like little
Oh, that sounds good.
they're really good, dude. If you're here, I'd
That sounds
give you
better
one.
than my freaking lunch.
Yeah. Oh, and then and I have another
Nice,
seltzer
nice.
water. It's actually orange vanilla. It tastes like a creamsicle,
Ooh, delicious.
but it's
Yeah, I was
water.
gonna say that's yeah.
Dude. Okay, they have 0
random-
calories. They're like, oh, it's just water. There's got to be cancer in here somewhere.
It's
Like, how
There's
you make
something-
that
there's something
flavor,
bad in there
dude?
somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
There's no way. There's
No,
no way.
yeah.
Something's got to give.
If it tastes good,
Um,
nah.
This is just
Random thing that
Austrian
you said,
water, spring water from Austria
Yeah.
that's carbonated.
Marketed well.
Very good marketing. Look at this
yeah.
can, dude. It's like gold on the top.
No, it's badass. Yeah.
If you read
Yeah,
the
it looks-
whole thing on it, it's like hilarious.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Wasn't it like something along the lines of like, hey, we just wanted people to drink more water and we just thought it'd make it cool or something?
Yeah.
this infinitely recyclable can of stone cold sparkling water came straight from the Alps to murder your thirst.
Ooh.
When a group of teenagers set off, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it's like a whole story. It talks
Oh
about
my God,
murdering
that's-
thirst. One cracked open, no thirst is safe from liquid death.
I don't even know how much those are. I don't drink them.
I got them
before,
at
but
work. It was like $4.
Rory dropped up a bunch over at Olaf,
Jesus.
or I mean at Lobo, and we've had them. But yeah,
Yeah, they're like more than a beer.
it's a 22 ouncer, right? But
That's crazy.
This water's healthy.
Yeah. Anyways, I just pulled out my lunch from yesterday.
So you're
There you go.
you're driving a Ford Ranger.
Yes, sir.
And so for the Florida wheeling out there, what kind of upgrades did you do to that thing?
Yeah, what did you do?
So kind of same setup as with all the other cars I've had, and like you guys said, as you grow and you gain experience, you start to figure out what actually matters. So I have some 32, I think like 33 or 32 inch Yokohama mud terrains, which the only reason I got them is because I can't hear you guys. I don't know if you guys are.
You can't hear us?
talking. There you go. There you know. You
No,
guys,
yeah,
you guys are. I
Ben's
saw,
just making noises
Ben
with his
talking.
chips.
No, they're apples
Okay.
in a
Or,
pie.
oh, sorry. Yeah, whatever you're doing is
Trying to be healthy.
noisy.
There you go.
I'm putting it away, guys. Okay, I'll
alright.
eat it after.
Yeah.
Hungry.
So I because I do a lot of these rides. I lead a lot of these rides. I want to make sure that I don't embarrass myself. So
Yeah.
I do run a mud terrain tire, and the story with those Yokos is actually kind of unique. I have a friend who works in the tire industry. He's a tire rep, and he had a friend who was having some sort of one of these like influencers was having a pretty significant coupon. I think it was like 25 or 30% off.
Oh, nice.
Sends it to me, and then I ended up getting the tires for like I think like under $190 each.
Nice.
For,
Not bad.
For some
Yeah,
Yokos?
for 17. Yeah, exactly.
The
Yeah,
Yokomamas?
Yokohama MTs.
Yeah.
Yep. And they're very. I mean, I don't know if they're owned by the same people as Toyo, but like they look very similar to the Toyo MT. And I don't know, man. So far they've done great. I've like I mentioned earlier, I'm partial to the Duratrack. Here, as far as tires, you want something that has some aggressive shoulder, kind of like the scalloping
Yep,
shoulder
yep.
where like the sides of the lugs interchange, and that it wraps around the tread,
Mm-hmm.
around the sidewall, sorry.
Sidewall, yeah, yeah.
And also, yeah, and then you also want something with a lot of siping because
Yeah, you
when
get
it
the
rains
mud.
in South Florida,
Get rid of that.
well, yeah, it slings the mud, but also important on the road
Mm.
when it starts to rain. In Florida, it can rain very intensely for half an hour,
Mm.
for 20 minutes,
It's that tropical
just
rain.
downpour,
Yeah.
basically. Yeah. So you need to make sure that if you are driving on the road, you can actually, have some predictable handling. So I always tell people get as aggressive of a tire as you can manage in that. So with good siping and with a good shoulder, a little bit of lift, is never going to hurt, right? You're going to have a little more ground clearance. And then really it's just get a winch and it's especially if people are paying off the truck, you don't want to drill a hole into your fender, but I always recommend people get a snorkel and actually smoke test it, right? Like run just like you would
Yeah.
smoke test a car for a leak, you smoke test a snorkel for a leak.
Oh, that's a good idea, actually. I've never even thought about that.
Yeah,
for
dude.
like for. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
We just put a lot of RTV the shit out of it. There's nothing
Right,
getting
right,
through
right,
there.
That's a good idea though. Like 'cause
right.
you can go down
So
to like I can't remember where we used to get them, but we used to get a smoke canister, and you could just blow smoke
yeah,
through and just see where it's leaking from and seal it up better. That's
yep.
a good idea.
Yeah. So, and that's kind of what I tell people now. If you want to do some of the more technical stuff in Central and North Florida, skid plates are always going to be just peace of mind,
Mm.
right? Skid plates, you can just kind of bang over stuff and just
A
kind
little
of
protection.
slide the frame over.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But yeah, just an aggressive set of tires, a winch, and uh, if you're an energy saver where you don't like to get out of the car to see how deep the water is, then you should get a snorkel.
There you go.
I have a
I
pair of
got one.
waders in the back of my truck. Yeah, I throw like if I'm not sure, I throw the waders on and I walk into the water, see where it's up to, and then get back in the truck and drive it.
Yeah, we throw our flip flops on and check it out real quick, and see how it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
California thing.
Yeah, we're California, or Ben, or Crocs. Everybody wears Crocs, I guess. Yeah, I don't know, but yeah,
At the scouting trip on Saturday that we did last week, actually I put it in the little hype up video that I posted. One of the co-pilots was wearing Crocs and he went into one of the mud bogs and completely covered in mud, completely like the Crocs inside and out.
yeah,
And he gets out and we're rinsing them off with a hose and he's complaining and I go, well man, you got to put your Crocs in four-wheel drive. You had them with the strap
yeah.
to
You
the
didn't have the
front.
strap to the rear, bro.
You got to have it in four-wheel drive. Otherwise, what are you doing?
Stay,
So we were
stay
having a good
strapped
time
or
with
get
that.
clapped.
Yeah,
There you go. Yeah. But yeah, the Crocs are a very popular shoe for some reason with the off-roading stuff. When it
huge.
just seems
Yeah,
like, yeah, with the mud though, it's just kind of begging to get stuck in the mud. Just lose a shoe.
yeah.
Yeah.
Suck that thing right
Yeah.
off. Yeah.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to get into, see what you guys think. So, I have a friend who is a professional videographer,
Nice.
and he's into the whole off-roading thing. And hopefully, we're trying to figure out some sort of functional agreement between the both of us to produce some nice videos.
Yeah, get some content for you.
Because, yeah, a lot of the stuff on YouTube is kind of poo-poo, right? Like a lot of the stuff on YouTube, people are doing it because they're passionate and they want to share stuff,
Mhm.
but it's by poo-poo I mean like it's not something you would see on cable.
No, yeah.
It's
It's
not
not something
cinematically
professionally edited and
amateur.
It's
shot.
not like AIM.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So there's a certain charm and down to earthness when it comes to that on YouTube. But also, man, like I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I'm watching an overland video and I'm just like I got my finger on the skip button, just like
I can only handle so much of
it's like
your dash cam. You know what I mean?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I've noticed, man, that when it comes to people that have a significant reach in the overland stuff on the internet, it's a lot of guys who were media guys that got into off-roading.
Yeah.
The quality one.
Ex-Overland guy.
Yeah, ex-Overland. He was a media guy.
Exactly,
and
like,
so he had the
exactly.
background already. Or
AIM. He's got a lot of following now,
I've
too.
been watching Toyota World Runners. And
Okay.
He was in, they're down South America right now. But like he started out. He went to video school, cinematography, and all that stuff. So he had the background in it, so he knows how to get the camera to work in his favor.
Because I messed around with some of that stuff, and I was like, man, my gear kind of sucks.
Oh, I'm fucking horrible at it, dude.
Yeah. So I was lucky that I found someone who came to the group, loved what we did, and he said, hey man, I'm a professional videographer. I love outdoor stuff. Let's put something together, and hopefully we can get that going. But yeah, it's interesting because like you guys said, the ex-Overland guys, they're all like media production people, or at least the main guys are.
Yeah, they got a huge
I think
budget
Clay had
too.
yeah, exactly. And because they have that professional production value, they were able to pick up some massive sponsors, which
Toyota,
good for them.
General Tire.
Yeah, they're getting new Toyotas all the time.
Yeah,
That'd be
yeah,
nice. Yeah.
There's a new Land Cruiser. Go have fun.
Yeah.
And the other guy that I kind of blew up over the last couple of years, I don't know if you've seen him, Zach.
Yeah, Zachary Dial.
Zach Deal.
Yeah,
Dial.
yeah.
He was supposed to be on our show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He got too big too quick.
That was when he was small. When he first started out driving his 4Runner. He's a Florida guy.
He was actually going to be on our show when he was going to talk to Donut Media.
Yeah,
that's why he was out in our area
in LA because he was doing a bunch of stuff with Donut and Justin Freeman and all that. And then I ran into him at like an expo, and he's like, yeah. And then he's too popular now. He's too big, so we're too small.
Got big timed.
Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, I went back and forth with him a few times on things, and I remember at one point he's like, "Man, why are you so mean to me?" And I was like, "Dude, I'm not mean to you. It's like you're posting stuff that like you need to stand behind the stuff. Like if you're gonna say something, stand behind it. Because, and also like if you're a public figure, one, people are gonna go after you. People are gonna criticize you no matter what, and also like you gotta have a sense of humor on the internet.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you gotta be able to laugh at yourself.
I remember.
Well, he got that whole thing with him and Gambler with Overland Expo went after them.
Well,
because they posted a meme and Overland Expo got like butthurt about it.
It's because they use a trademark logo.
I know, but laugh at yourself, dude. Come on.
Well, I got lit up in that thread, by the way.
Oh, did you?
If you want to go find my name? Oh my god, I got destroyed because I said like, I said like, well, you guys. I mean, sure, they're being butthurt about it, but like what you guys did is also messed up. Like you got to look at it both ways, right? Like it's you could have very easily. I told them like I wrote something. I was being a snarky idiot, but I wrote like, oh man, engagement must be down, so you're trying to start shit. And
right, hey, it works.
You're not wrong.
Like,
yeah,
it's funny
coming from the guy who needs engagement because of the comment. Just kidding.
Exactly. So then. People were like, and you know how people are on the internet. I don't mind people like making fun of me and laughing, but like when the insults start and it's like, oh, this guy probably drives a Prius, stuff like that. I was like, come on, man. Like,
I like how he says when the insults start, like this guy drives a Prius.
yeah. So. And and then and Tate responded, and he said something along the lines of, "Well, he was trying to be snarky back," which again, like I took it in stride. I didn't like get offended by it. He's like, "Yeah, I only got 20 million impressions last time.
Yeah,
last month.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, that's awesome. I think it's a little sad that you have that number on tap, ready to spit it out, but whatever." And people went after me. Again, like I don't care. I don't mind being the bad guy in that scenario. But yeah, the whole thing with Expedition Portal, I have never met Scott in person, the guy who runs it, but I've talked to him a few times on the internet. It seems like he's strictly business when it comes to this stuff, which I can see why he would get offended by that. But man, it's social media. Like you got to take it, you got to give it. Sometimes it goes both ways. But with Zach, what happened was he was doing those videos, which I found them a little bit irritating, but it was basically like, check out this truck. Like, you want to buy this truck? Well, this truck was $100,000, and the camper on it was another $100,000. Basically, like, look at you, poor person.
Exactly. The poor's on the floor, dude. You can't
right.
He started out being the guy just kind of making fun of overlanding. Which was cool because he's like, oh yeah,
he had a 4Runner,
just joking around.
He's a basic soccer mom.
Yeah. Look at my little Wada, stuff like that. Like he was the meme. He was fun, and then all of a sudden he got really big, and then it became like
he had corporate sponsors, and then he had he had an itinerary with a
They're giving me this Earth Roamer to drive around in or whatever.
I'm gonna do a review.
Yeah, so that's
so,
what happens to a lot.
He posted
sell out.
Yeah.
I'll still have him on the show though.
One of those. Yeah, I mean, I would, and I told him like I would love to talk to you about this in person. I don't think in the internet, I don't think Instagram comments are the right
Oh
place to
God,
have this
no, no, no.
conversation. And because I wrote, and again, it was a snarky comment, but like I told him either what I'm saying is offending you, and that's why you're answering like this, or you think it's funny, so you're being funny back to me. Like there's
Right.
kind of you can't have it both ways. There's no in between. Because I wrote something along the lines of, yeah, this truck will maybe get used one to drive down a dirt road, and then it'll be up for sale.
Yeah.
Which is probably true.
And you know,
It'll be a write-off.
with that, and he exactly, and he wrote like, man, why are you always so negative? And I was like, really, dude? That's what you're getting from this? Like, first of all, it was a joke. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And I was like, come on, man. And at that point, I was like, you know what? God bless you. Do you keep doing your thing. I'm over it.
When you get big too quick, your skin gets thin.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And
So-
and look, I can kind of relate not to his level, but you know, as our page has grown and we're getting engagement and stuff, man, it's like that short like endorphin hit every time you open it. It's like, oh, this many more followers, this many likes. You're like, oh my God, yes, please give me more.
Yeah.
It's so
know?
funny. We both have access to the Instagram, and every time a notification comes up, I'm like, "Oh God, go away!"
Yeah, yeah,
Not to people,
Yeah,
but like
so-
the notification. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
right.
Bing, bing,
Yeah,
bing,
yeah.
bing. I'm like, ugh. Yeah.
And you know, he's extremely lucky that he gets to live off of this now.
Oh, that's
Obviously,
awesome.
I'm extremely I don't know if envious or jealous, whichever one is the right one.
Oh, yeah.
I would love to do that myself, but also like, dude, you're a public figure at this point. Like, people are gonna go after you. People are gonna talk trash. Like, you gotta let it roll down your back, right? You gotta be a duck about it, and or have a sense of humor,
Yeah.
which he
Right.
does. That's
But you
what made him
can't-
big.
Yeah. Because of his sense of
right?
humor.
Exactly.
Well, it's like with
Yeah, so it's like,
Joe
I
Rogan
know-
says, like, don't read the fucking comments.
Yeah.
No matter what, just stay out
Yeah,
of the
don't-
fucking
yeah.
comments because there's
Yeah.
always going to be
Yeah,
people who will trash you, regardless of if you're the greatest person in the world. Somebody's going to have something negative to say about you, and you can't just
Yeah.
be butthurt about it.
Yeah, yeah. Exactly. And then look, a lot of times it's just people that are just going through something in their own life and they're like they're looking at the
Projecting.
easiest target.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're projecting
Exactly.
a lot of times.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I did a post that it was quite controversial because there was someone driving a gladiator up a waterfall.
Oh, okay.
And I said something along the lines of like, hey guys, like even if this was a legal trail, even if this was private property, you shouldn't be sharing this kind of stuff without context because not only is it like bait for all the people that already don't like off-road recreation,
Yep.
but it's going to give people bad ideas of what they should be doing.
Yeah.
And man, I got like, I think I had something like 108 comments being like, "Oh, you suck, you're an idiot. You drive a Prius." And I was like, and like there was
Always
two,
with the
two
Prius.
people. There was two people that said, actually, for context, this is an old mining road, and it's been leaching heavy metals into the water, and this and that. And I wrote, man, you're the only person that has actually given me some sort of
A
context
legit, yeah.
about why it was wrong. Two people did that. Two people did that. And I said, you know what? It's not worth. And again, I don't mind being the bad guy. I don't mind being wrong. But when I saw that, like, it became so, and then people started going into other posts and like harassing
Oh, geez.
me on those posts.
Yeah, people have
And I
no
was like, you know
life.
what, man, I'm good. I deleted the post and then I just blocked those people. I was like, I'm good. This is not the image I want to portray.
Yeah, some people just want to troll, you know what I mean? Yeah, like because
Yeah.
some people would like get there's like the whole thing with like the geotagging. You know, if you're doing this trail and somebody's people would go after people for doing that. It's like, well,
Right.
he's allowed to do whatever the fuck he wants, dude. If he wants to tell everybody he did
Yeah.
this fucking dirt road, so be it. Yeah, I mean, I get both
Yeah.
sides because more people are going to go to those areas. More people.
A lot of people that are
trash those
talking shit
areas.
too are like the virtuous, like, oh, don't do that. It's like,
Yeah.
dude, shut up.
Yeah, I don't I don't tag where
Yeah.
I'm going anymore. I just
Yeah.
say somewhere random, like, or I'm in this general vicinity. I won't tell them the exact trail, but like I get it. Like a lot of people are bad mouthing certain other influencers because they were super big now, and they're saying, yeah, I'm going to go do this trail right now, and now like 50,000 people are going to go
Yeah,
do
it
that
clogs
trail.
the trail.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah,
I get
Trail
it.
Recon is he got big,
Yeah.
and he's just trying to like film content and do
he's just
his
getting
thing.
content. He's just putting information out.
But
for
then
people.
everybody wants to do it,
Yeah,
and they clog the trails.
yeah, and not everybody respects the trail. So
No, they
I
don't.
get both sides of it,
Right.
but just, not everybody needs to be a keeper.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's a
No,
tough
yeah,
one.
it's hard to draw that line because I'm sure we've all been in this scenario at some point. You take your kid to an activity, even if it's something school related, and a kid shows up like sick to the activity. It's like, why is it rude to point out that another kid is sick? but it's
Yeah.
not rude to bring your kid who is sick.
Yeah, you're the
Right?
asshole because you're saying,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're the Larry David because you're like, hey, that
Yeah.
kid's just sneezed into my kid's mouth. What's going on here?
Dude.
You know?
Curb Your Enthusiasm, best show ever,
oh,
dude.
dude,
Yeah. We
Yo,
watch
yo,
it after
fuck.
dinner a lot. It's awesome. Yeah. And like that's
By the way,
actually a show
what
that
is it?
made
What
me
streaming
realize
is it on? Is it on HBO? Is that what it
It
is?
used to be.
On Max, yeah.
It's on Max.
On
Yeah,
Max.
Okay.
HBO Max.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because
Might have
that
to
show actually
download
made
it.
me realize, like, yeah, no, and we're maybe season 4 or 5, and we love it so much.
I've seen them all, but I want to rewatch them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he drives a Prius,
Yeah.
by the way.
He does. They definitely have a deal. That show definitely had a deal with Toyota because he drives a Prius, and then his best friend Jeff either has a Sequoia or a Land Cruiser at all times.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're always
Yeah, so
Toyotas.
they definitely got an endorsement. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I mean, actually, that show's the one that made me realize, like, man, I gotta chill out sometimes. Like, sometimes it's not okay to call people out.
It really is
but-
kind of like a wake up call. But anyways,
Yeah.
Yeah. When you're a very, I think the way that I grew up with my dad being such like a detail oriented person, you end up becoming your own critic, where like you're always kind of like trying to find the things like what's the issue here, right?
yeah,
I think that's what ends up being projected. But going back to the thing that we're talking about, kind of playing that fine line, for me, the only time that I'll speak up about, treading lightly is when people share themselves doing something. Like they'll share on
Yeah,
social media
yeah.
something. Like I think earlier this week somebody said on one of the local, like one of the Florida Overlanding Facebook groups, he said, "Hey, I went to Ocala. Here's some videos of me. Here's some photos of me," and it's him doing donuts on the road. And I was like, dude,
That's
like, and I told him, like, if you're gonna post, like, if you're gonna be, like, you can be as irresponsible as you want, but at least don't share it on the internet, dude. Like,
yeah,
what are you
Like,
doing,
yeah.
man?
yeah. It's like here's me committing a crime.
Yeah. Yeah, I've put
But
people on blast before where I've seen them when we were out in Kofa, we were driving and like there's literally no vehicles beyond this point.
It
And
literally
on
is
the
a
other
big
side
sign.
of this big ass sign, there's a dude set up his
Right.
camp. I'm like,
Yeah.
bro, come
It
on.
says no
man.
camping beyond this point,
Don't
and the
be-
dude is literally camping
Yeah,
right
just
there.
Don't be that fucking guy, and I don't have to put you on blast.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Actually, so the trail that we were scouting a couple of weeks ago, there's a kind of a gray area because the actual roads are legal roads that the city owns. They're not maintained, so eventually, as the condition warrants, they become trails. And as long as you're on the road, you're 100% doing everything by the law, right? You have a car with a tag on it on the road, but a lot of the lots are private property. And a lot of them are not fenced, and there's no posted signs. So again, in theory, if you were to take it to a judge, he might have a hard time enforcing the trespassing. But this guy was trying to convince me that going into those lots was okay because of that. And I was like, is it though?
yeah,
Yeah,
there's
Like,
that
is
gray
it-
area. Yeah.
Yeah, like, I mean, is it like, do you want to try to explain that to a cop? Like,
Yeah, it's not
like,
worth it.
I don't.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I'm good. So, and a lot of it is that where it's there. I'm assuming things are a little bit different there. I know you guys have, like every region has a different culture. One of the frustrating things here is that there really isn't a lot of culture of like, leave it better than you found it.
yeah.
we do have that issue.
Yeah.
I mean, it's getting better, and we had that like we mentioned before earlier. That whole influx was like during the COVID time. Then all of a sudden, everybody kind of got into it, and then
Right.
you had the people who didn't grow up with it, who just kind of like,
Right.
"Oh, okay, I got nothing else to do. I'm going to just go buy the turnkey, whatever, and go out and do stuff.
Right.
And they don't appreciate the land. They just leave their trash out. They go off trail.
Right.
They, oh, this road's blocked. Well, I'm just going to go around this and go off into the wilderness, which is frowned upon, obviously. Tread lightly.
Right.
But yeah, it's gotten better. But yeah.
Well, it's public land after all, right? So
Right.
it's all of our property.
Yeah.
And I've talked to some of the rangers at the different properties that we use, and I've always been very lucky with them. They've always been, aside from one time that I guess I asked an annoying question, and aside from that, everybody's been really nice to me, and they really, they tend to really enjoy explaining how things operate within the
Oh yeah.
property and how they function. And a lot of them have told me, man, like the only thing we can do in order to prevent the trails from getting into worse state is to close them. We have no other tool.
Yeah. And that's what happens. That's why, like, you kind of sometimes you have to call some people out because that's how these things are going to get shut down. That's how we lose our trails because they're just looking for an excuse.
Dude, look at Utah right now in Moab.
Oh, dude, Moab's getting.
Have you ever
I've
been
heard
out to
about that,
Moab?
yeah. I've not been that far out. I've been as far, I think the furthest out west I've been to off-roading wise is Windrock in West Tennessee and in Oliver Springs, I think it's called.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we have a
Yeah.
buddy just
That's,
moved
but
to
I have not.
Tennessee. Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah. No, they got some good wheeling out there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mosey on Overland. Clancy, he's out
Yeah.
Tennessee. Yeah.
Yeah.
Big Mo.
Nice.
Big Mo.
So
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of trails being closed out in Utah, right? Or at
Big
least that's
time.
the intention.
Yeah. No, they've closed down quite a few.
BLM, yeah, they were just like closing down trails left and right. A lot of Jeep trails and
Blue Ribbon Coalitions, they're fighting it a lot. They're hopefully they'll be able to keep a few of them, but yeah, they've lost a bunch of trails.
well, okay,
So what's their explanation?
razors.
I was gonna say side by sides. Yeah,
Problem.
that's
Yeah,
usually
side
the
by
cause.
side.
Usually one of the biggest issues. but-
Okay, we were talking about this at King of the Hammers. They were like, okay, back in the day, you had to build like a full-on truck to be able to have the capability to do these things.
Yeah, put in the work.
Now you just have to, and then be like $100 and something thousand and all this other stuff. Now you just go out and spend $30,000.
yeah,
and
the entry point's been lowered, so
and they're super capable,
Yeah.
and people can just be shitheads. And the theory is that everybody who used to own a boat then went out and sold their boat and bought razors.
Yeah.
and then they just tear it up and act like an idiot. So that's basically what's
Very similar
happening.
to it's very similar to the jet ski crowd.
Yeah, essentially.
yeah,
Same thing.
same crowd.
Those are the short wheelbase razors. They were the jet ski crowd, and the boats were the four
Right.
four
the four
seaters.
seaters, yeah,
Yeah, the 4 doors.
yeah.
And look, man, those little. I mean,
They're fun.
I'm gonna call them buggies. They're badass, man.
Oh, yeah.
Like, out of the box, like you can get I think the 1000cc razor, you can get it for like 13, 14 grand,
Yeah.
and like the 2-door one, the shorter one,
The smaller ones.
and that's a mini trophy truck basically.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you can
It's got lockers. It's
do
got
whatever you
everything.
want with it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. So that's the good thing, like you said, is that the bar has been lowered, but also then you get a lot of the people who either don't know any better or don't care to know any better,
or just
right?
weren't brought up with it. Like you said, your dad, your grandparents, they were all into off-roading. Same with me, or we were dragged out camping and doing all these things. So we were good
Right.
stewards of the land. We were taught to do how to take care of everything.
Also, just being a good human. Like, you don't have to be out in
Yeah.
the whole camping scene. It's like, throw away your trash. Like, that's something you learn
Yeah,
in school.
you
man.
should,
Like, you
you
just
know.
throw
Yeah.
away your trash.
yeah.
Like, I
Yeah,
don't
and
know.
it should be a given, but unfortunately,
Yeah.
it only takes a couple of bad people for the Rangers to say, all right, that's it.
Ain't worth it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I always try to tell people there's more of us doing the right thing than there are of the bad people not doing the right thing. We just have to show, we have to show up and show the people who run the parks.
Yeah, I've noticed it getting better,
that-
like just as education and
Yeah.
people are spreading the word. Some people just don't know, so sometimes you'll tell people like, hey,
Yeah.
this is what we're doing. Like, oh wow, okay, that's what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I get it. So
Yeah, I did the whole tread lightly, tread trainer thing. So I sat in that course for I think like a day and a half. Felt like a couple of years, but it was they're really big with like the scouts, the Boy Scouts, and but I was the only person there that was representing any sort of off-road
Oh, really?
group. Everybody else was scouts, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, which was surprising, but I think that the principles are great, and it's complicated because, for example, one of the conversations I had with the Rangers that was kind of a circular conversation is that it was organizing one of the cleanups. I asked them, why don't you guys put trash cans at the trailhead?
smart.
And he goes, oh well, that logistically it's too complicated. This and that. And I was like, yes, I understand that. I also, sorry, my cat's walking around. I understand that. I also understand that people should not be leaving their trash out on the trail. However, if you give them the chance to throw it out, you're going to have an easier job, right? It's going to be easier for you as a ranger if you can just go up to the trailhead and be like, oh, garbage, put it in the trash,
Yeah.
right? Put it
On my
in
way
your
out, I
truck
can
and
just
take it
drop it
out.
right here. Yeah.
Right. So, and I get it, man. Like those types of jobs, you're just kind of doing whatever you're supposed to do, whatever comes down the pipe. But
Yeah, they don't have a huge budget a lot of the time, so they
no,
work with
yeah,
what they
yeah, and
have. Yeah.
right, and that's why we like to help, uh, because we have the manpower, right? We have the manpower and we have the time to go out there and help out. In fact, the one we're doing in April, we're going to do it at this property called Picayune, which is um, it's actually historically it's very interesting because it's the biggest real estate scam in the history of the country.
Oh shit, really?
These, yeah, it's long gone. That land got bought back by the state and the federal government. But once upon a time, the um, the people who had the rights to that land would take aerial footage of the properties during the winter and spring when it was dry, and they would sell lots to people,
Looking all,
out
yeah.
and they actually dug out a series of canals to try to drain it. But because it's part of that Everglades kind of water flow from like southbound, it really was never able to get that under control. So people were defrauded, and in the end, I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe that the government essentially bought back the land and turned it into a state forest.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because that would not gonna be
Yeah.
able to develop it, so might as well. Yeah.
No, no, exactly. And they're slowly kind of refilling those canals so that the area can go back to what it should be.
Nice.
Anyways, we're doing a cleanup there, or our intention is to do a cleanup, and so I found the email of the guy, the ranger, emailed him, and man, they get so happy when people reach out to them to do a
Oh
cleanup.
yeah.
Like they're so grateful for that because, like you said, they're no matter how many rangers there are, they'll never be able to effectively manage all that property.
Yeah.
It's too much.
Yeah,
There's no way.
volunteering or volunteers are like a huge part of it. We try to
Yeah,
help out. We've done a few with like Tread Lightly or something like that, or the Forest Service and gone out and helped clean
yeah,
up and drag trash out periodically. And they do a lot of those actually. But
Well, Sons
yeah,
of Smoky is a great app because you can like even if you can't pick it up yourself because you don't have it's too big of an item or whatever, you can
yeah,
actually tag it.
oh yeah, if you see
yeah,
something out there, you can just let them
Yeah.
know where it's
yeah.
Like,
at.
oh, there's a couch right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, there's out where we and the closest trails because they're really just a lot of them are used by the local power and light companies to make sure that the power lines
Yeah.
are
Access roads.
in working condition. Yeah, access roads basically. Man, you see some crazy stuff out there. Like we've seen, like you said, couches. We've seen like entire cars. We saw a boat.
Yeah, we found boats out there in the middle of the desert. Right?
Yeah,
The
we saw
fuck?
Yeah,
we
Mojave.
saw
There's like a
a
boat
boat.
out there with a trailer. We're like, what?
Yeah, we saw that. We've seen some crazy stuff out there. And even, for example, when we went last week just to scout, I always have a trash room on the back of the tailgate,
Right.
the front side of the tailgate. And within 2 minutes of us picking up trash, we filled it up to the top.
Oh yeah.
There's just so much garbage out there.
Yeah.
And that's actually one of the places that I would like to do a really big cleanup, like, have a lot of people out there for that one. But I can do it, as kind of like a kind of unofficial event, but I would really love to get the city involved, because they are city roads. And man, there's just so much garbage out there, just like beer cans and just
Yeah.
just things that people dispose of. Uh, and it's sad because you go out there and it is nice, but then you look down and there's
Like
crushed beer
gross.
cans. You're gonna crush.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Bummer. Pick up your trash. Quit being trashy.
Right.
Yeah,
Man.
there you go. That should be a sticker.
Yeah.
Quit being trashy.
Yeah, quit being trashy.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should make that.
Yeah. That'll be our next shirt.
Anti-trash trash pickup club.
There you go.
Nice,
Right on.
nice.
So what do you got coming up? You have a cleanup or you got the trail run next week or you scouted out for? Well, what's going on?
Yeah, so I guess I can give you a rundown of the calendar. So the 17th we have what we call a challenge ride, which will be a more I guess if you say like a green,
Spirited.
blue, black, red, yeah, like more of like a blue trail, a little more challenging. And we are going to do a competitive loop, timed loop, just for
For
bragging rights,
fun.
really.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Then first weekend of March, we're going to be at the Save Expo, the Southern Adventure Vehicle
Okay.
Expo. That's funny, right? Save Expo, Save Venture Vehicle Expo. Anyway, um,
Yeah.
so we'll be there. Um, they wanted to give us a booth, but by booth they meant just a space, like a 15 by 30 lot. And I was like, man, I'm not hauling tables and
All this
banners and
shit just
pop-up
to.
tents. Yeah, because we're gonna camp, we're gonna scout up there for 3 days after. So I'm like, I'm not hauling that around the woods for 5 days. No, I'm good.
Yeah, you're not selling anything
So
either. So yeah.
exactly. So I'll be teaching a couple classes up there. I'll be teaching just kinetic recovery basics,
Nice.
and then something that I call terrain analysis, which is really like if you guys ever seen like the Marines manual on like off-road recovery.
Yeah.
So like Meyer grade terrain, it's
Yep.
basically that.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to be teaching them. So I'll be teaching that, and then I'll be scouting for a couple of days, just kind of myself and like my kind of little crew. I have like a guy who's an automotive mechanic. I have a guy who's a videographer, and then I have a guy who's a former military medic who like works as like the standby medical personnel with movie production. So he's kind of their
Okay.
guy. So I'm building a little bit of a crew because I would like to do some paid multi-day rides come October, right? So we're scouting that trail for that. And then the 23rd of March, we'll be doing a 101 workshop for, the newer people, the people that want to be a little more confident with their driving and what they're doing. Then beginning of April, we'll do another one of our socials where we close out the parking lot, we tailgate, we're at the brewery. We
Nice.
do a little raffle, so I'll have some local shops donate things, and we raffle things off. We've done things
Yeah, like
like we've done
a bridge and
awnings, we've done
brews or
yeah,
kind of idea. Yeah, yeah.
basically yeah. It's just at night instead. So we'll do that, and then April 20th we'll do our cleanup, and that's the last event that I'll share because the rest of the stuff isn't locked in yet.
Gotcha.
Right on.
Gotcha.
And I mean,
Yeah.
obviously you're joining us from Florida, so South Florida. So
Uh,
let the people know where they can find you. If we have any
Yeah, how
listeners
do-
in the area, how do they find you?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, we're most active on Instagram at Ibis Offroad, just like it sounds.
What
Ibis is just,
what's IBIS
guys.
stand for? Sorry. Is there
Ibis
like
is a little
acronym for it
bird.
or okay, it's not an
No,
acronym
it's
for
just
anything.
it's the little ibis. Yeah, so ibis is a bird that exists here in South Florida, and there's actually a couple meanings behind it. So one is I went to the University of Miami.
Mm.
Mascot is the Hurricanes, but they have the ibis, Sebastian the ibis, which by the way used to have a tobacco pipe, and I guess that's not correct anymore. So they
Really?
got rid of that now.
Oh,
You
Yeah,
canceled it.
they
damn.
used to. Right. Well, just like the Fighting Irish used to have a pipe. I don't think he's got a
Yeah.
pipe
Oh, he
anymore.
doesn't
Used
anymore?
to.
Oh,
Yeah, not anymore.
I don't
Oh
think so.
shit. Yeah, I can
I don't
remember
think
that.
so.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so part of it is because I went there, but also the bird itself, the ibis, uh, essentially they are the last bird to leave when a hurricane comes,
Mm.
Oh, okay.
and they're the first one to come back after the weather improves.
Really? All right.
And
They ain't
yeah,
no punk.
and it's kind of right. They're essentially not scared of the bad weather,
Right?
and that's the way that I like to run the club, right? I always try to behave in a way where, I'm the first one in there and I'll be the last one out, make sure that everybody has, is taken care of essentially. And that's the way that we run the club. So that's why we named it Ibis.
All right.
I
Like
like
it.
it.
Yeah, yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. And as far as like our events and stuff, we're pretty active. We try to do things to kind of slowly get people to join kind of the dark side of doing some more harder trails.
Yeah, push
So we do
themselves a
the
little bit.
socials.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and you got to build that confidence. It has to be appropriately challenging. So we tend to, I tend to push the social get-togethers, which is just no off-roading at all, just hanging out in the parking lot,
It's just a good way
so
to
people can get to know
yeah,
me.
network, get to meet
Exactly.
other like-minded people or maybe local to them and they can branch off and do
Yeah,
trails together and stuff like that. Yeah, no, it's a good
exactly.
idea. Yeah.
So promote the community.
Yeah.
and kind of get their toe in the water. And then I always encourage people to do one of our touring rides first, one of our easier rides, to just kind of see how it is, right? And
Hmm.
really, at the same time, I'm scoping them out because for the challenge rides,
You don't
usually what
want an
What
anchor.
right, exactly. And then, eventually the goal is for people to actually do some overlanding, right? Like go and do some travel by vehicle overland
Hmm.
and have a mix of, obviously some highway, it's unavoidable,
Yeah.
but also some actual property, go through some trails. And for example, the one that we're doing in Ocala in March, we're going to, so the big thing in Central Florida is freshwater springs. There's a lot of water that pumps out from underground,
Okay.
and it's crystal clear and very cold all year round. So it'll be around
Nice.
72 degrees no matter the time of the year. And so two of the campsites we're doing are at these springs, and the third campsite is at a place, the only place in Florida where you can see wild horses, the horses that were
Really?
left by the Spanish when they first came to Florida. And also, weirdly enough, same property where I think it's been about 100 years now. Um, they tried to introduce a bison population into Florida because bison used to come all the way down to Florida,
Really?
and it's the only place where you can see wild bison. Yeah, it's really cool.
Wow.
It's called Payne's Prairie, so that's one of our campsites. And
All right.
we're going. There's a
Shit, that
U.S.
sounds
Navy
fun.
bombing range. Yeah, yeah, man. I'm have being in a customer service oriented business and my wife being in hospitality, we realize that what's going to draw people to us is the experience,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and so that trip we're doing as well, like
Yeah. Create memories. Yeah.
right. And it's what one of the my friends actually made a really good point where very few people are going to want to just do the driving. Right? Not very few people are going to want to just sit in the car for hours and hours and hours and do trails.
Yeah.
People want to experience things, get out, look at things, walk around,
Yeah.
see the different
Touch, feel,
environments.
smell.
So
Yeah.
exactly. And yeah, so U.S. Navy bombing range will drive by, and they'll do live exercises in this closed off area, and you can kind of pull up right up to the gate and kind of just hang out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we'll do that. That'll be part of it.
Nice.
And then, all of the kind of cool, old country style stores and stuff that you get to see along the road that have been there forever.
Yeah.
So it's
Some
essentially
history.
ecotourism.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, ecotourism, but with some off-roading involved.
And so you'll do overnighters and everything like that. It's not just all 1 day trips and
Yeah.
stuff. Nice. Little camp out.
So
And,
we do, yeah. This year we're kind of trying to figure out what our schedule is going to be. So we'll do our first overnighter in October. It'll be 3 days, and we'll see, man. If it's successful, and I, the feedback I get is something that I can actually address, we'll start doing more of those.
nice.
That's
I
good.
think the day trips and the socials are important because like we were saying,
Yeah.
it kind of gets people a little more confident in what they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dip your toe in the water.
Yeah. Get them used to it and
Yep.
just introduce them to people and get the groups built up a little bit more. And then, as they get more and more comfortable.
You want to go?
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to go.
Dude, yeah.
Oh, let's go.
They got this. They got an overnighter next
Yeah.
weekend. You want to go do that one? Let's fucking
Yeah,
do
why
it.
not?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, my Jeep's better than your
Well,
Jeep.
what's-
Let's do the challenging thing. Let's go do the spirited run.
Yeah.
Yeah. How big? What size tires
You
you got?
gotta, what's the saying? First one's free.
Yeah.
right?
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
After that.
So, yeah. And I hope that I'm a net positive with what I'm doing with people. I hope that people can have positive experiences, and I hope that people feel more confident about going out there and doing some off-roading on their own.
No, it sounds like you're doing a good job with it. Like, you're educating people, and giving them an experience that they'll enjoy. So yeah. I know.
Everybody's safe. Nobody's died yet.
Not yet, not yet.
Yeah.
Fortunately.
Yeah. No
Hope to
gators
keep it that way.
crawling up into camp or
That's what
nothing?
I'm worried about
Yeah.
before there's a gator.
Shit. Have you ever
I
had
get
them
that
roll up
question a
on you?
lot. So, it's funny. I get that question a lot from people from other states. And this is going to be a very Florida man answer. Um, Gators are all right, man. They're pretty easy going,
Yeah.
unless they're nesting. So like July to
yeah,
September,
makes sense,
it's
yeah.
when they lay their eggs. They will come after you during that time.
They're aggressive.
But otherwise, random fact here. How they eat, right? How they hunt. They'll grab the thing, hold it down, and drown it, and then they eat it, right? You know where they can't do that? If the
On
water's
land.
deep.
Oh, if it's deep,
Yeah, on
too
land.
deep.
If it's deep, yeah. So like if the gator can kind of drop its tail like that, where like the tail kind of starts to drop, they're not going to come after you because they have no leverage. Like they're not strong enough to actually swim down and hold the animal down. They're strong enough to
Oh,
hold the animal
just pin
down
it
and just
down
make
in
them
shallow
drown,
water. Oh,
basically.
all right,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah, that's why you'll very rarely see someone like
Deep water.
kayaking get attacked by a gator because they're like they can't really do much.
Yeah. Yeah, they kind of hang
Yeah.
out near the shore a little bit, grab something and drag
Uh-huh.
it in there. All
Yep.
right, smart.
Yep. And so if you're ever in the swamp, what you want to look for is when you see the bush along the water,
Uh-huh.
you see a flat spot. That's where the gator's rolling in and out.
Oh, all right. Their little landing pad,
That's
their
because
little
they
boat launch area.
yeah,
Yeah.
basically so that they plan that out when they come out and they just use that same spot. And almost
They're
always if you see that there's a nest nearby, so get the hell out.
smart.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
see, we got to worry about bears and bobcats, and you guys got fucking
Mountain
gators.
lions,
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But it's funny, yeah, I get that question a lot with the gators. Um, Only once ever has it been that we've been driving through a trail and there was a gator sitting on the trail. Only
Oh,
once.
really?
Ever, yeah. And the gator, I guess he was late for work or something because the moment he heard the truck, just like skedaddled like a cartoon, kind of popped his chest up and just started waddling his little legs into the swamp.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
So
don't want to fuck with
fortunately,
you
only
either.
once
Yeah.
ever.
He doesn't want trouble.
No, yeah, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
No, no, no. And a lot of times, I mean, going back to like, when do you call people out? One of the things I'm pretty intense about is like, do not mess with the wildlife. Don't
Oh,
touch
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Don't get close to it.
Fucking
Don't
people
feed
are
it.
stupid,
Like,
man.
just yeah. Because again, what do rangers do if there's a gator that is not scared of people? They have to kill it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They kill it. They take it out. My my cousin. I have a little cousin who's I think he's well, he's not little anymore. He's a man now. But when he was 10 or 11, I took him on one of these trips, and we were at a campground that had a big lake in the middle, and there were some gators, decent sized gators, and he was like, "I want to feed the gator,"
Oh,
and I
Jesus.
go, "Man, we can't do that because if he's not scared of people, he could hurt someone, and then the rangers have to kill him." I'm giving the whole explanation. He's like, "Okay, but what if when we're driving away,
Just
I roll down the window and I throw a piece of ham out the window?" And I was like, "No, you're still feeding him."
technically
Yeah.
still the same thing,
Yeah.
dude. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, he was trying to like logic his way
Yeah.
out of it. Yeah, so,
Yeah, we have the
funny.
same
Yeah,
problem
yeah.
here. Like people, like they'll see like
A moose.
a moose, and they'll get out. I gotta get a picture with it, dude. That thing's gonna stomp the fuck out of you, dude. What are you doing? Or
Have you seen
Yeah,
a moose in person?
it's
they're massive, dude.
I have actually. We went to Alaska for my 30th birthday,
Oh, so
rad.
you know.
and yeah, dude, they're like the size of a bus.
Yeah,
That's what I was about
Like,
to
these
say.
things
They're
are
a bus,
massive.
dude.
yeah.
Yeah,
People are dumb,
like,
dude. Or they'll
I
see
don't
bear
want to be.
cubs,
Yeah,
and they'll be like, "Oh, look at the little bear cubs." Well, yeah, we're the fucking mom, dude. Don't go anywhere near
Yeah,
those
it-
things.
if you see cubs, hide because mom's nearby.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sometimes
have-
it's like
we
just
have
like
small-
Darwinism. Just let fucking nature work its way out. Come
yeah,
on.
yeah. We have small bears in Florida, and actually in the Everglades there's bears. I've run into
like black bears,
a
little
single
black bears,
bear.
or
Yeah,
okay,
black
yeah.
bears, and they look like a really big dog. They might be 150 pounds,
Yeah.
So, as far as bears, small. But up in Central Florida, one time we were doing a very common trail up there. It's called Citrus, and we're on Trail 11, one of the main trails there. And I see somebody stops in the front, and everybody starts to stop. And then somebody gets on the radio and is like, "Hey, there's these little bear cubs." So everybody kind of pops out, starts looking at the bears, like, "Oh, so cute." And then it hits me, and I was like, "Yeah, we gotta get back in the car."
But wait a minute, yeah.
Mom is somewhere nearby, and she was like within seconds of us getting in the car. The mom walked through, and she wasn't mad. She just they kept walking, but it's kind of one of those like oh shit moments.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Don't test mom. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, no thanks. Right on, man. Florida man.
Yeah.
well, that's why I said it's gonna be a very Florida man answer. So I knew you guys were gonna get a kick out of
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
that was perfect.
Us Californians over here, the Florida man.
Yeah, we don't know nothing about that. We just worry about
Well, so
earthquakes and stupid shit.
when I
There's a big one
when I
today, by
took
the
my
way.
daughter,
Yeah, 4.6.
I heard, yeah,
Yeah.
I heard about that.
Yeah, it was all right. I
when-
didn't even get out of my chair.
I didn't even feel it.
Yeah. See, that's kind of like the experience, right? Because if I feel that, I'd be like, all right, we're gonna die.
Yeah. People from out of town are like, holy shit.
Dude.
I'm like,
So to that point, I grew up in Arizona. There's no earthquakes there.
Okay.
I mean, I'm sure there is. I'm not a geologist, but I'm sure there is. But like, I moved to San Francisco, and when I first moved there, and then like my wine glasses like started rattling a little bit, and I was like, "Oh my god!"
Running
and
out
my
the
wife,
street, yeah.
my wife, who's grown up in California, is like, "What's going on? Like, what's your deal?"
Chill out. Yeah.
Pussy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's like, "Wait, I'm engaged to this."
It's experience is a good teacher, man.
Yeah, it is.
That's yeah.
Right on.
All right. Well, I think I'm ready for bed. It's about midnight.
Yeah, I was
yeah,
gonna
it's
say it's
heavy
pretty
late for you,
late.
brother,
I'm hungry.
so-
I got food to eat, man.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, we
Well,
appreciate you hanging out with us late, and all that. So yeah, we learned. I
man.
would love to get out to Florida sometime. Like, I've been to Miami, but I just been there for like weddings and work and shit like that. I never get to have any fun.
It's a very common wedding place. Yeah.
Yeah. Or
But-
there's Rebel, or I know Jesse's gone out there for like a Jeep Jamboree on the beach or something.
Yeah, it's like Daytona.
Daytona.
Though.
Okay, yeah.
Daytona, yeah. That's coming up. Yeah, that's kind of it's gotten real commercialized. Like it's basically full on like corporate sponsorship and stuff.
Yeah, lame.
I mean the stuff that people do around it is always fun.
Yeah,
but,
it's still gonna be fun regardless. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you're ever in town, man, text me, message me or something. And I'll be happy to show you around.
Yeah, it'd be rad.
And yeah, dude, I mean, I had a great time talking to you guys. I mean, otherwise I wouldn't be here for
2 hours. 2 hours and 45 minutes. Yeah.
Like if you ever
So,
venture out
yeah.
to the west side out here in California, or anywhere near,
We have
Show you-
open
we'll
I
show
seats,
you
really
man.
want to
around,
make it out
yeah.
there, man.
yeah.
Yeah, I really want to make it out there. Actually, with Nina, with Barlow, I was actually we've been going back and forth because they do like a couple of like pretty serious trainings with their group, and I've been trying to get out there. It's just, man, logistically, taking 4 or 5 days off of work, flying over there, flying back.
Yeah, it's all snow up there anyway.
They get
Because the Nina Barlow that does the Barlow Adventures or whatever it is, and they're all up in Big Bear and all that stuff
Oh,
too.
right now,
Yeah.
we got a bunch of snow right now, so yeah.
Well, they wanted to do a class. The class that I wanted to do was in January, and they changed it because they're like, there's just too much snow. Like, we can't really even do anything. So they changed it to April. We'll see what it's like in April.
Oh, it'll be fine.
I really don't know. Yeah.
It'll all melt by
So
then.
we'll see. Maybe I'll make the time. Maybe in April I'll make the time to go over there. But it's a big expense and a big time consumption because it's renting the Jeep from them, getting the hotel, and flying over there and all
big
that
commitment.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I want to do it. I really like her and I like what she does, and I want to learn from them. From that organization. But yeah, man, I had a great time talking to you guys, and
Same.
I think we got some good content, right? Some good clips in there.
It should be fun,
Yeah.
And
Florida man.
Yeah.
No, I love it.
you
No.
guys publish it if you want to. Like I'll share it on my page. That way you can get it. Get some people listening from.
We'll tag
from the
you in
group.
all the fun stuff and share whatever we got for you. I don't know if the video.
Cool,
we'll
man.
see. We're for people listening. We're trying out some video content here, so we'll see how that works and see if we can get it up on the tubes and all that fun shit. But we'll see how it works. But yeah.
Awesome.
All right.
So anybody in the Florida area looking for a good time, look you up on the Instagram and all that.
At Ibis Offroad. So IBIS Offroad.
Yeah.
Correct. Yep. Guys, send me your. You don't have to do it here. Send me your address. I'll send you guys some clip stickers and stuff, so you guys can have something from us.
Oh, rad.
That'd be awesome, man. Appreciate
we'll rock
it.
We got a collection. You can't see it here, but we got a collection from everybody that comes on the show and stuff, and all our
Need
fun-
some liquid molly, koozies. We got-
we got all kinds of shit swag here.
Nice.
But yeah. We'll trade you a little care package. So, but yeah, it'll be fun.
All right, I'll send something over to you guys.
Nice.
Awesome, guys.
Awesome.
I had a
Cool.
great time. Really happy that we were able to do this.
Yeah, made it happen
And,
finally.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well,
Nice
I'm
meeting
off to
you.
bed.
Yeah, get some sleep,
Same,
brother.
man.
Appreciate
Same. Awesome.
you coming
All
on.
right, Ben, Jared. All right, guys. Take care.
Thanks.
I'll see you around.
Take care.
All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in, and we will catch you somewhere
Yeah. Somewhere out there.
out there.